remote recesses of this universe comes forth a collection of sentinels, a collaboration of the invaluable, a combination of derangement. Just S-4 with your host, Eric Cooper. Join us as we tear through the fabric of the natural world to reveal what is beyond. Ready? It's almost time for the show to begin.
Greetings, folks, and welcome to S-4, where we talk about the serious issues involving paranormal and current events, coming to you live from the S-4 headquarters in the heart of the Cascade Mountains here in our studio in Cape Horn, Concrete, Washington. And I hope you loved our new intro, because I know I sure loved it. So tonight, it's July 18th. It's our 5th anniversary here on S-4 Paranormal Radio. What started S-4, we'll look at that briefly. And then we have a special panel tonight for our roundtable. Dave Scott from Spaced Out Radio. Michael Hall, the paranormal lawyer, founder of UFO I-Team and Spaced Out Radio weekend host. R. Keith Andrews, as you all know, our alien professional of all things alien. Arnold Hampton, our resident state parks consultant. Joe Algeier, our resident geologist and master of pointy sticks. And Nikki Jacobs, our resident psychic medium. So how's everyone doing tonight?
Most excellent.
Well, I'm unhappy.
Outstanding.
Doing good.
Outstanding. So before we actually get started, I wanted to go over a little bit, really quick, briefly, about the Forest Moon name and how it came into S-4. So it all really begins in 2004, the beginning of Desert Moon Grove, Balad, Iraq. So myself and another sergeant were sitting in the desert of Iraq, and we were watching a full moon. It was like midnight. And being pagan, and there is no pagan chaplain in the military, we were discussing starting a pagan group on the base. And looking at a full moon over the desert, we came upon the name Desert Moon Grove. Why Grove? Well, because if you're a Wiccan, you usually use the name Circle or a Coven, and Grove insinuates all pagans. So 2005 was the beginning of Forest Moon Grove. We started Forest Moon Grove because we had a large influx of civilians that wanted to support their pagan troops. So there was no Facebook. Facebook was around, but I didn't know anything about it, so we were actually a Yahoo group. So that was the beginning of Forest Moon Grove, our pagan headquarters for all issues relating to pagan troops. With this began our first informal paranormal work as a team, beginning Forest Moon Paranormal, and that was in Tal Afar, Iraq. We actually saw a UFO sighting going over Syria. We had numerous entity issues, jinn issues, things of that nature. So we as pagan troops actually dealt with paranormal. Now, backtracking a little bit, I was actually into the paranormal starting in 1990, so long before this. So within this time, I was on several pagan podcasts talking about issues within the military involving pagan issues. These podcasts you can actually find in the S4 YouTube channel. So we returned from Iraq 2006, and both Forest Moon Grove and this time Forest Moon Paranormal were active on Fort Lewis, which is in Tacoma, Washington. So the unit was returning to Iraq, and I was sent to the Warrior Transition Battalion in 2008. 2009, Forest Moon Grove sponsored and endorsed 16 pagan groups spread throughout Iraq and Afghanistan, and that was the main focus. I was medically retired in 2010 at 19 years and 6 months of active Army service, and the mission of FMG also shifted to a more civilian yet still military role, working with the homeless in the community. 2012, Forest Moon Paranormal really started ramping up. We started the Astral team, became an emergency response team handling up to 10 cases a day globally, and we started the Astral School to add new members to the team as we were expanding. I went on several paranormal shows, talked about FMP and the emergency response mission. 2016, Area 51 Cafe started, which was intended to be a weekly video show. It lasted a month, and in keeping with the Area 51 theme, I changed the name of the show to S-4 and started on Blog Talk Radio. So, at the encouragement of Dave from Spaced Out Radio, I switched to Spreaker, where we've been ever since. The first Forest Moon Paracon started in 2016 as well at Lake Tyee. The Paracon lasted 4 years, ending in 2019, and the FMP team also disbanded in 2019, but S4 carried on. Today, FMG is still sponsoring pagan troops in the U.S. military with one group in Korea, and we're about to endorse a second group also in Korea. FMG is also a presence for all pagans who are having issues with harassment for education and what we practice for civilians and military. FMP is still active as a paranormal group helping folks with needs as we can, and with S4 still acting as the voice of FMP and talking about critical issues within all paranormal fields, whether cryptid, UFO and alien, or spirit and haunting and everything in between. Finally, folks, we're only 3 weeks away from the Skagit County Fair, so don't miss out. Stop and see us at the S4 booth, August 11th to 14th, and at Marblemount Sasquatch Conference, August 28th and 29th, so stop in and see us. So, that's...
Breathe.
Oh, I am. But I didn't want to take up the whole show talking about the history, so I really just summed it up in a nutshell. So much shit happened within all those time periods that I could write a book. And in fact, I'm working on a book. But that's going to be a long time coming, 20 years at least. to get all the
details. Write first.
Gotta
learn how to write first.
I do. I know how to write.
That's okay.
Read.
You can use finger paint.
Yeah.
Come on, Tolkien. Let's see it.
So how's everyone doing this week? Next week we're actually changing the topic to emergency action plans and wildfire preparedness and response because of the fact that just throwing out a cigarette butt or a glass bottle is starting fires, let alone fireworks. And people are just, the walking monkeys are stupid.
Not all of them.
Well, a lot of them are. That's how a lot of them are starting. It's not all just freaking lightning strikes.
That's true.
So what are we all doing tonight? How are we all doing tonight?
Crying over a dead coffee pot.
No! Coffee is the lifeblood of Forest Moon and S4. It is.
Well, yeah, pretty much. Well, I used to have a 30 cup urn.
So what's the lifeblood of Spaced Out Radio anyway, Michael and Dave? Is it still,
Carl? Carl?
No, that's not the lifeblood.
Yeah.
Well, every once in a while I know you drink coffee. Michael does at least, but Dave usually drinks...
Not me. It's usually water or iced tea.
Iced tea? Okay.
There you go.
Yeah.
I think it's beard care, right? You can still do beard
So have you seen Carl lately?
No, I haven't. He hasn't been around for a while. At least, probably going on 3 years. 3 years.
Yeah, I'm going to have to go looking for him.
So for our listeners, who is
Carl
Carl?
ghosted you, man.
Totally.
Right?
No, he ended up getting shipped off because he broke protocol badly.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I remember that. He wasn't supposed to say hi to Dave.
No, he wasn't.
So, real
And
quick...
it wouldn't have been so bad saying hi. He wasn't supposed to go up on his deck in the first place.
Yeah, aliens are not supposed to look in your window. Remember that, folks. You see an alien looking in your window, contact Keith, because he'll talk to the higher command and get him in trouble.
Yeah, Kayla, no more looking in people's windows. Quit it.
My bad.
All right. So, Michael, I know you have to leave at 8:30, so we're going to start with you for the first question.
All right.
Hey, real quick, though. Do you still meet at the restaurant where America eats?
You know, the COVID thing kind of shut us down out of Denny's for a while, but we're starting to come back because we have that capability at Denny's. That's one of the only places, at least currently, where you can actually still go live and have a pretty decent meal. Yeah, so we don't do it on a regular basis, but hopefully we're going to get back to doing that on a weekly basis with the UFOI team. But yeah, I kind of miss where America eats. It was a nice place to meet.
Have you tried Sherry's? They have pie. Like, you can't beat
Oh,
pie.
yeah. Well, my son used to be a short order cook at Sherry's, so I know all about Sherry's. I love that place. But they seem to have some bigger booths at Denny's where you can, like, spread out a little bit, you know?
Right.
So we typically go there. As a matter of fact, gosh, it's been interesting, all the different disclosure that's been going on in the mainstream media, and the fact that people are now, like, talking about this all over the place. It used to be that you kind of had to try to get a corner, booth and try to keep your conversations low so you don't get the stigma stuck to you. But now everyone wants to talk about UFOs.
Real quick, so we're limited on time with you, Michael, but I want to ask, because we've got you two on the show. We've brought this up on S4 here in the last couple of weeks. What was your opinion of this 9-page report that was released?
Well, it was a nothing burger. It was even worse than a nothing burger, because I was anticipating that the Joint Senate Committee on Intelligence was going to mandate, this unclassified report on UAP from the UAP task force. And I was anticipating that they were going to make that next baby step and confirm that they don't know what these things are, these UAP, unidentified aerial phenomena, but that they can't rule out the fact that they could be alien. I was expecting them to go that far. They didn't even go that far. No. They just decided to stop where the statement said, they're not ours, they're not Russians, they're not Chinese, we don't know what they are. That's all they did. And of course, that's nothing new. So everybody was a little disappointed.
Absolutely.
Well,
Bolivians.
By definition, they announced that they were UFOs.
Yep, UFOs are definitely UFOs. They're unidentified.
They haven't changed, but I like Cole's what Cole brought up. The reason they changed to UAP, which makes sense, is for the aspect of budgeting. If it's a military or a government acronym, they can actually get more budget money for that project. That explanation actually makes sense.
Don't you think that maybe there was a lot more in the report and more video and all that we just haven't seen?
Absolutely.
Oh,
Absolutely there was, Joe.
Well, from what we hear, there is at least 71 minutes worth of video that have not been released. Mm-hmm. And the people that have seen these videos refer to it as they were being gobsmacked at what they saw. I guess it was quite impressive. So I don't know what they saw, but I'm waiting to hear. Hopefully some of those videos will be leaked out.
Oh, absolutely.
But Joe, are you saying we need to get out our Crayola magic markers?
Possibly.
The colored pointy sticks.
Oh, shit.
Wouldn't that be messed up if, like, someone actually looked and, like, it was like invisible ink or something?
Well, coming from the Marines, I'd expect Crayola crayons. They eat the purple ones, Dave, what's your thoughts? I know you've been pushing a lot more UFO stuff on Space.Radio. What's your thoughts on, are they going to expose more, or do you think the 9-page was a Band-Aid like we've expected?
Well, we have to look at it. We have to look at it two ways, Eric. We have to understand that for us in the UFO field right now, it was exactly like Michael said. It was a nothing burger of information that we didn't already know. And the good part about it was that report rarely identified Russia and China, which the media has been all over, because the media has not wanted to believe that there are unidentified aerial phenomena flying through the sky. And they want, let's face it, the media thrives on drama. If it bleeds, it leads. And they want that confrontation with Russia and China. It makes for great news. And when there's great news, there's great advertising dollars that follow along with it. All right. But the real issue is, what is in the report that we did not see? All right. And we are hearing now that the report could have been 78 pages, 17 pages, 178 pages, over 400 pages, as per Daniel Sheehan had said on Jimmy Church earlier last week. And we don't know. We have to wait for this information to trickle down. Now, there's another way to look at this, too. That 9-page report, which is actually about 4.5 pages of real documentation, was good enough to get everybody in the mainstream media talking about it. It was front-page news, headline news. It wasn't buried at the back end with X-Files music or Twilight Zone music. Right. Okay, everybody was talking about this. This little report, as much as it meant nothing to the UFO field, and really it meant nothing, it meant the world to those who are not following this on a daily basis. It opened up the eyes of a lot of people. Now, for information, there was nothing. There was no information whatsoever on that. And the skeptics having a field day with it, including the New York Post, who absolutely lambasted the report and anybody who follows this subject in an editorial article. So there was a lot of conjecture that went along with it. But the main thing was it got out there in every mainstream newspaper across North America. That's what they wanted. That's what they were able to strive for. Now what we're seeing is the calm after the initial storm, before we head into the IG reports, which are due, I believe, about 45, 50 days. And then we're going to see what's happening. I think that this is going to be a very busy fall. We saw Jeremy Corbell releasing a lot of videos, and then the latest video that he released a couple weeks ago, to me, showed nothing. Absolutely nothing. Yeah. And there is rumors there that Corbell has been shut down from releasing any more videos from his sources because of the fact that the Pentagon would not confirm the last video, as they did with previous videos, that they were actual UAP phenomena. If you look at that video, to me, it looks like a bunch of helicopters flying around, not drones. But
is that the one with the triangles and the blinking lights?
Yes.
Yeah. I didn't see anything on that.
Yeah, so I mean,
I like the flying pyramid. The flying pyramid, I think, was the most unique.
That was a good video. Yeah, that one was a good video. The one thing I liked about the flying pyramid video was how many were actually in there. You know, and so I mean that's kind of where we stand on the UFO front, and everybody is battling for inches when we should be battling for feet right now. But we got to take what we can get.
But I like what Michael said with, the part that, so us in the UFO field, yes, we were very sorely disappointed, but it did open up the door for those that have never heard of UFOs or never believed in UFOs to where we can actually talk a little more openly about it. Without
absolutely.
Without the ridicule and the stigma and all that crap. Anyway, Michael, sorry to cut off here. What was your first question?
I don't think I got the first question, so I'm going to have to wing it.
Okay.
Yeah, but I would like to ask the panel here tonight is what do you think the next step is going to be from the task force, the UAP task force? Are they going to actually have a follow-up report to this report that they've come out with the Nothing Burger? Or are they just going to drop it for a while?
Merchandising. Straight merchandising. Print T-shirts, hats, everything.
Right?
No, that'll be your department.
Well, hasn't it been speculated that supposedly in 90 days that they're supposed to come out with new information, supposedly? Now, this is speculation. This is what I'm hearing from everybody else. It's all speculation. In order to get different things in line.
Yeah, I've heard that same rumor, Nikki. So I'm hoping that will come true, and we'll get some follow-up from this report, because Dave is right. The actual report itself is very minimal. It's only 4 or 5 pages, and then there's some addendums at the end there that make it a 9-page report. So there's not a whole lot of beef to the report to begin with, and they only basically restricted the UAP that they studied to Air Force sightings and pilot sightings. They didn't even go into the other branches of the military to find out any other reports of UAP. So I'm hoping they're going to make sure that stigma that has been attached to the reporting of UAP is erased by the other branches of the military, so we can get more data and analyze it.
But a couple things, though. That report opened up the door again for people to start looking for shows like S4 and Spaced Out Radio, because they want to hear more. And again, if it's 90 days, that puts us right into the fall. Like, we might be busy in the fall. We'll see.
I'm hoping.
Well, we also have to see who comes out too. I mean, don't forget,
Exactly.
Luis Elizondo has been on every podcast and their dog since this started, and since he left the To the Stars Academy. So what we also have to remember is we have to be able to see what he is doing, what he is up to, and what he is following. Look, the big thing that I've been told recently over the last couple of months, that if anybody wants to know what's happening in the UFO world, go on to hashtag UFO Twitter on Twitter. And the reason why is that is littered with information. And from what I'm hearing, there are a bunch of spooks watching that and have Twitter handles that are paying very close attention to what's happening on Twitter.
Mm-hmm. And that makes total sense. Arnold, what's your next question tonight?
So, kind of different with these wildfires that are all happening and stuff. Does the panel think that amps up paranormal activity? Since, like, all the animals that are there trying to get out and run away from it, does that open up like paranormal activity around that area?
I can speak on that.
Yeah, go ahead.
The Sasquatch that I know of, they go into caverns. They go underground, which is probably not something I should be saying, but I'm going to say it anyway, because good luck finding them. They go underground. When there's the ones that have come to visit me in my home, they're in caves, deep underground. I can tell by the smell. Trust me. It's not so much they stink of like garbage or anything like that. It has a very specific old dirt smell, and it's very, very, very specific. So, yeah, the Sasquatch go underground. I don't know about other cryptids, but that's what they do.
And I'm sure they wouldn't be any different.
If anything, I'd say you'd see less.
Yeah, but I guess where my curiosity would be, with the missing people, I always wonder if the wildfires have any impact on, say, if it is a portal, or if it is some kind of a wormhole type situation that people are disappearing through, if a wildfire would impact that.
Well, I can tell you this: the energy coming off of a wildfire has no bearing on the energy used in a wormhole.
Okay.
The only thing it might do is make it difficult to see it, but you can't see the thing anyway, so.
Right.
And I just got told that the portals, they close. There's something about the energy where the portals, they minimize in size. That's what I was just shown.
Okay. And that.
Okay.
I didn't know that. That was.
Well, you'd want to have a fire door on them. You wouldn't want the fire to go through the portal, right?
Fire can't get through the portal.
I don't think that they would be able to. Like the different energy blades and everything else, it wouldn't be able to go through the portal.
I wouldn't think.
I wouldn't think either. That's what I was just told.
Well, Tim's asking,
Probably just close them because of the smoke.
Maybe, yeah.
Smoke won't go through the
there's
portal
smoke
either.
coming
That's
through.
why the elementals don't use it.
Right. So Tim wants to know, what about the heat and the fire combination related to outworldly phenomena? You know, and I don't think so. A natural disaster in general creates enough chaos type energy that I would think it would pull in more paranormal activity. A fire, however, I don't know.
I'd say maybe a massive lightning storm or an energy burst.
Maybe.
But not a fire.
Well, don't you guys talk about when you go into a haunted house or a house that has some type of paranormal activity in it, that it has a lot to do with the emotions of the people there?
Right.
You can translate this into the emotions of the animals freaking out.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe that energy might create something.
Well, I can tell you honestly, running a community group here, there's a lot of people scared. So you got the
fire will do that.
Well, you know, they don't know what to do. I got asked last night, Eric, what do we do if there's a wildfire? How do we know to evacuate? Which is why we're going to switch our topic for next week and actually talk about that. People are terrified. People are, you're going to see more road rage because you're going to see some dumbass throwing a cigarette butt or a bottle or something out the window of his car, and people going after him. But there is a lot of fear, not because people don't know what to do. They don't, we live in the mountains here, and it doesn't take a whole lot for a fire to ignite and escalate very rapidly, depending on what the wind is. So could it be causing more paranormal because of the fear factor? Possibly. What's your thoughts, Dave? You're quiet over there.
Oh, I'm just sitting here listening. I know my areas where we have our two gifting sites for Sasquatch, that they are both very much in a fire zone right now. I'm hoping they're going to survive, because that would really suck if they didn't. But, I know from my own investigations, it's pretty much with the forest fires here puts a real damper on what we are doing for the remainder of the year and trying to make any contacts. We're probably, once everything slows down in the fall and it gets to cooler temperatures and these fires start to die out, we're probably going to have to change areas, that's for sure.
Right. And that makes total sense. Nikki, what's your first question tonight?
I want to know what you guys think of John Lear and a video that was posted recently where he's talking about the moon is built by another race and it's 38,000 years old and it's pulled into Earth's orbit to watch. So I'm curious as to what your guys' take is on that. I was like, that's interesting.
That was
I haven't seen the video. I haven't seen that particular video, but I did hear one time where there are ancient Chinese manuscripts that talk about a time when there wasn't a moon. I don't know if that's true or not, but there are a lot of odd things about the moon.
Mm-hmm.
Its distance, the way it moves, the fact that it's so big compared to the size of the Earth and all the other moons that are around other planets.
What it's actually made out of? Yeah.
Cheese.
Yeah.
Cheese was my understanding.
Okay, so then the next part of that question is, what do you think of John Lear and any of his information?
I'm leery about Lear.
Yeah. I'm not a fan of John Lear, honestly.
Okay, anybody else?
Don't know the man.
I'm on the fence with him.
Much more of an understanding of it.
Well, one thing you got to keep in mind, perspective with his history, is that he was the guy who came out with the Bob Lazar story, well before anybody even heard of the guy. And basically he, the general story sounds like it's a true story. Whether you believe Bob Lazar did what he said he was going to do, he did, is another story. But at least John Lear's got some inside info, I think, that you never know. Sometimes you got to take it with a grain of salt, but also you got to keep in mind that he might know something that we don't know.
Mm-hmm. As far as the Bob Lazar story, I fully believe in Bob Lazar. Lear is just one who found him and brought him out to the stage, basically.
Yeah.
So, Joe, what's your next question? First question.
Let's see. Let's change it up here a little bit. How many, or not how many, when it comes to the paranormal, what is it about it, or have you had any experiences that absolutely freak you out, or something about the paranormal that scares you, scares the bejesus out of you? And I'll start you off. I'm not scared of a lot of stuff, but the one thing that's always freaked me out since I was a little kid is a window at night. And imagining that there's something on the other side looking in. You almost touched on this earlier in the show. Something looking in, like a Bigfoot looking in, watching and seeing what you're doing. And it didn't help watching Bogey Creek when I was a kid and seeing that arm come through the bathroom window.
Well,
okay.
Sure it did. It got your fear right ranked up.
Oh, yeah. Dark window at night. Freaks me out all the time.
I've always been terrified of mirrors. I don't know why, that they just scare the crap out of me. So, like, our entire house has one little tiny baby mirror in the bathroom, and that is it.
Well, I can tell you why you'd be afraid of mirrors. That's the easy part. See, a mirror is one of the major components to building a psychomantium, and no, I'm not going to tell you how to build that on air.
I'm good. I don't want.
Right on.
But I will tell you, if you take even little decals of vines and put them around the outside of the mirror, you'll be fine.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Let's see. I guess my biggest fear within the paranormal is the missing people side, because being in the mountains again and hiking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Even if you got, so many people go up missing, even with groups of people. So if it's a portal, something like that, you're not going to see it. You're going to walk right through it, and you're just going to be gone and not know what the hell happened to you. That's the part that freaks me out, and that's the part that intrigues me the most. I have no doubt that you have a lot of creeps out there that are kidnapping people, things of that nature, and they're mundane excuses. But it's the ones that go missing that have absolutely no normal explanation for it. That's the part that freaks me out the most. And I have to have an answer.
For me, for me, it would be two of them. In my house, it would be closets. Closets just freak me out. And once again, if you hear helicopters behind me, that's the forest fire helicopters coming in for a landing near my home here. But number two is stairways in the forest. You get these people who are reporting these wooden or metal staircases that are just in the middle of a forest. There's no structure around, no nothing. And the rumor is that if you climb this stairwell, you will enter into another world, and you will never be able to return to the world you're in if you get to the top.
And then
so
I've heard of that. You don't hear about that a whole lot, but I have heard of that. Have you ever done a show on it?
It's really hard to find somebody who's an expert, because the stories that you hear of these are always from a friend of a friend of a friend.
Right.
There's you never hear from anybody who's actually tried it out. And
you wouldn't, because they wouldn't be back to tell you about it.
Yeah, I was going to mention
exactly.
that. If you're taking it back, it's a problem with reporting.
That makes me really want to find a stairway in the woods.
Oh, I don't.
Sorry.
No,
That was what I was thinking.
You can go up it.
I will go up that
I know you
stairway.
would.
I don't care.
And
I
you
will see what's
disappeared.
up.
We wouldn't have Kayla on the show anymore because she went up the damn stairs.
Oh, I'd find my way back. Trust me.
See, I've got to have the most backwards outlook on the whole thing. Because my biggest fear is they're going to keep bringing me back to this backwards mud ball.
Well, obviously they do.
I know. I figured that part out all on my own, but thanks.
Nikki.
Yeah.
What's
I was
your big-
thinking,
Okay.
the mirrors don't bother me. They're used as portals. If you got a mirror, put a cover over it, or like what Keith had talked about. I have a friend who's got a portal in her bedroom, and I'm here to tell you, it's an active portal. And she knows how to deal with it very well, and I'm very proud of her for that. But for me, when Joe mentioned the windows, yeah, that was me as a kid when I was watching some Bigfoot movie as a kid in the 70s, and something popping in. It was a fear as a kid. As an adult, I just get pissed off. So I don't know what actually honestly truly frightens me anymore. You mess with my family, I'm going to screw you up. So, I mean, that's the kind of stuff where I'm like, that would probably be it. Something going on with my family. Or an extremely close friend, and that it doesn't necessarily frighten me. I mean, I didn't get frightened when my mom got sick and I had umpteen doctors telling me, oh, she's going to die, and we went through this 4 times, and the fifth time it was like, no, this was it. And my family, I am, other than my distant cousins, I am the only, me and my son are the only ones left biologically out of my family, and that are, close family. And so when I realized that my mom really, this time was going to be it, that was when I freaked. And I had my entire family surround me and go, no,
right.
You're going to be okay. She's going to be okay. We're going to make sure of it. And they did. And so that was the only time that I actually ever panicked, was when I knew for sure that my mom was going to pass. I knew that she would pass okay. I knew that everything was going to be all right with it. But the fact that I couldn't have one last visual of her, even though I knew that I would see her psychically and visually on the other side, and I knew she was going to be okay. So that kind of thing, yeah, that's what really gets me. The other stuff, I just get pissed off, and I'm like, I'm raring for a fight, so watch out.
Right.
So that's kind of how I am.
I'm a little bit different with the stair or the window thing.
Okay.
One second. The portal thing, I've actually been offered to go through 2 different portals in the last couple of years. That actually freaked me out. And a friend of mine told me, you know what? You trust them. Why would you freak out? And I'm like, I want to come back. I want to be around for my kid and my grandkids and my great-grandkids. So, yeah, if I ever get asked again, I'll probably walk through a portal.
No,
people will go, that's crazy. But if you trust the ones that you're with, yeah, I want to see. I have no problem.
No.
Because I know that when I die, I know I'm going to be back. I don't have a problem with that. I literally do not have an issue with that. I don't have an issue with dying. How I died, that's a different story.
When I was a kid, I wasn't scared of windows or anything like closets. When I was 12, a prisoner escaped from the federal penitentiary just a mile from the house, and the cops came through with the dogs. The guy had actually walked through our backyard, and my parents were like off for a walk, so I grabbed a freaking golf club and I sat in the living room and waited. kind of hoping he would show up so I could just beat the hell out of the guy with the golf club. Like, I wasn't scared at that point.
Rounded pointy stick.
None of this stuff really scares me. What has always scared me is, again, like Nikki had said, friend, something happening to my kids that is beyond my control or anyone's control.
Right.
Them getting into a bad situation that I am not there to help them. Mm-hmm. That's it.
So family.
Yeah. Like, well, yeah.
Everybody but
some of them.
Your kid walking through a portal.
Yeah, well, but like, I used to have a reoccurring dream where the two boys, when they were like 4 and 5, would wake up at night, sneak out, and like just open the front door and go out to the street and get hit by a car.
Yeah. Well, especially here.
Well, and that was in town. Friend, so like that was a constant thing where every door was checked 3 times, and then I considered putting up boards.
Right. With nails.
Yeah. Right. But other than that, like, none of this actually, I don't know, I think I've always considered myself an open skeptic, so being that, I feel like I have to just walk into anything with open thoughts.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Arnold.
Kind of.
I was trying to think of another one. You kind of took what I was thinking about as my former job as a park ranger, and with this missing 411 and people, and having to go look for people at wee hours of the night and early morning, and hoping that you found them or you didn't find something that you didn't want to find, and stuff like that. But walking the trails of certain parks at night and not finding anybody, and having to go back over, and then finally finding them in a different section that you didn't even think about them being in, right. And what was weird is having all of a sudden like a family member come up and someone tell you, oh yeah, he was lost in the same spot just a week ago, type thing. It's like
kind of like our trail up here that's got 2 different missing people that have never been found.
Exactly. And even having the one night when the family member showed up, even having the chief of police there going, don't let him walk out there.
Right.
And it was like, all right, and it was just like, all right, we were told he was over here, but now he's ended up, these kids were way over on the other side of the park, way out of the park boundary. And then we find out this is where this relative uncle had got lost the previous week.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's scary. A little bit.
Or like when we found one guy that we finally got in contact with him, and by 911 calling him on his cell phone, and he's out in the middle of the woods, but what he's telling us is he's seeing asphalt on the ground. Okay.
Huh.
There's no, and where we could drive out and find him, there was no, it was dirt.
Yeah.
He was standing on a logging road, didn't have a clue about where he was, and wasn't that far back to his car, actually. But he kept telling him, I don't see any lights, but I'm standing here, I can see asphalt. I'm like, all right. But yeah, that type of, huh?
Almost like he is between 2 worlds.
Exactly, and that type of stuff, when you're called out at, like I said, dark 30 or wee hours of the morning to go find these people, and it's interesting. You're hoping that you find them, but what else are you going to find going out there?
Right.
All right. So, Dave, what's your first question tonight?
Oh, that's an easy one. That's an easy one. All right. We all know that during the whole UAP phenomenon of the last 3 years, we know that the so-called experts in the government have been very, very quiet in saying anything to do with extraterrestrials or ET contact. Mm-hmm. And I believe there are a plethora of reasons for that. And I'm curious why you guys believe that the government is withholding any sort of conversation on ET contact.
Well, if you think about it, if they don't admit to it, all people are left with is their own imagination, and the government doesn't have to admit any of it. They're not backed into a corner.
Yeah, it's also lawsuits. Do you know how many million or probably trillions of dollars it would cost them in lawsuits? I mean, for them to actually admit anything. So the standard status quo is to keep your mouth shut.
In all likelihood, that wouldn't even be a problem.
Plausible deniability.
They could shut that whole lawsuit down in a heartbeat.
Doesn't it boil down to the fact that if they admitted UFOs were real and they went back and gave everybody all the videos and the photos and all the eyewitness accounts for the last 60 years, that everyone would be so irate that the information was held from them that it would be absolute chaos?
Yep.
So they kind of want to say, well, let's look at the last year and see what happened. And they kind of gauge that, and because eventually it's going to come out. But that might be 20, 30 years down the line that, we've known since Roswell or even before.
Well, not only that.
Well, look at all the abductees. Look at all the abductees who have issues.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it goes beyond the abductees, though, guys. Okay, we have no idea what this is going to do to the value of religion in this world, not just the country of the United States, but in the world. Okay, because let's remain understanding that the majority of population on this world still prays to a religious deity and goes by a book. All right, so there is that. What is going to happen there? And sorry, the big Sikorsky helicopter is about to take off here. And number two, from what I am hearing, they are very, very worried about what will happen to the economy.
Yeah.
Because the economy has a is very fragile the last number of years, basically since the 2008 crash.
Mm-hmm.
And sorry, the big Sikorsky's he's loud.
Yeah, you can't
he's
help
loud.
That. You can't help that.
No.
Sure you can. You just need a rocket launcher.
No.
No, we need him. We need him.
Absolutely.
But the other issue is, okay, we know that gun sales will go up. We know that military stocks will go up. But what we don't know is what's going to happen to the rest of the economy. What's going to happen to food? What's going to happen to those people who are so paranoid in life, okay, that they decide, I'm going to get somebody before the aliens get me? How many people are going to all of a sudden watch Independence Day or the television series V and think, this is it, this is real, here we go, I better start killing?
Or the Purge.
The other thing that you got to think about is if the government came out and said that there was an alien race or alien races that had been here, that had everything else, and there is nothing that we have that can do anything about them.
We're going.
Okay? You just took away the security of the people as well. Mm-hmm. Because now they're all scared because there's no way you can defend yourself against something that you don't know.
No, and it goes beyond that with, they admit that there's that they've had UFOs, that there's aliens, but they have no way to protect you against them. Then what good's the government?
Yeah, bingo. I look at the mind control.
It's going to take away the national security. It's going to take, like Dave said, the economy. It's going to kill the economy. I don't know about the religious side. You do have some that will freak out, but the Quran talks about aliens. The Bible talks about UFOs and aliens. The Mahabharata in India talks about UFOs and aliens.
But they talk about them in a different context.
But Eric, one thing you have to realize, though, is in the radicalized movements, whether it's Christianity or Islam or whatever,
right.
The Bible is the interpretation of the reverend, of the priest, of the imam who is reading it.
Absolutely. And to a lot of them, the aliens are demons anyway. So yeah, we see that a lot. And God wouldn't create an alien, which I think is kind of a political stepping stone, having the Catholic side talk about aliens and how we're gonna Maybe they had the Pope talk about aliens kind of as an easement for the Catholics to accept aliens. I don't know.
Haven't they already done that?
Yeah,
they
haven't
did.
They already said if there are aliens, we'll welcome them in?
Yeah, that's what I mean. I think that was a political.
Yeah, the Catholic.
I think
that was done a couple of years ago, Joe.
Right.
That was done a couple of years ago, but that doesn't mean an archbishop in New York, Chicago, or Vancouver is going to abide by that.
Oh, absolutely not.
Because everybody has their own interpretations.
Absolutely.
Let alone your everyday parishioner.
No, absolutely. You see a lot of the archbishops and parishioners in the United States lambasting the Pope anyway with some of the stuff he says.
They just weren't happy with the second rap album.
Right.
Well, yeah, everybody might go nuts, but then again, there's that famous speech by Ronald Reagan at the United Nations.
Right.
If everybody in the world found out that there were aliens, wouldn't that bring us together? It might bring us together because there's a common enemy or maybe for some bad reasons, but I think people would stop getting mad at their neighbor and maybe look up and be mad at what's going on up there.
I
do believe that's wishful thinking.
That's possible.
Yeah, I was just.
It's wishful thinking, but
it's wishful thinking because in the '80s it was a different climate than it is today. Today there's so much division and so many people that want to kill their neighbor that I don't think it's going to pull anybody together.
Well, and here's the thing. So far, all I've heard for arguments is it's the government's decision. What if it's not? What if they have an NDA signed?
Yeah.
With the alien race.
Do aliens have to abide by legal contracts?
They already violated. Well, we already violated the contract that expired. 5 years ago for the 50-year contract with Truman? Was it Truman or Eisenhower?
Grieta?
Yeah. That contract was expired.
That was Eisenhower.
Yeah, Eisenhower. There you go.
Eisenhower.
It doesn't mean there hasn't been.
Basically, right now, because it's all been violated, the Grieta Treaty's up. They can abduct as many people as they want now.
Well, they were
but
anyway.
What if the government actually has... Like, what if they need approval from each alien race?
Well, that'd be the
about
consortium.
What they decide to release. Like that 9-page report actually was sent to other alien races, and it was approved by their governments.
So with the consortium, would that be a consortium aspect, Keith?
Yeah, I find it fascinating that in all fairness, number one, the answer to your question is ultimately yes. The reality, though, is people keep wondering if it will draw people together. Well, it already has. People are still shooting, and humans are still shooting at other humans, but they're all talking about what happens if the aliens invade.
Right.
And I covered this a few months back on Spaced Out Radio.
Okay.
Right. If the off-worlders were going to attack, the fight would be over, and we wouldn't even know it was starting.
Oh, absolutely.
Keith, I've got a question for you. What happens if ETs that are not part of the consortium pool together and decide to invade whatever planet? What does the consortium do?
Oh, they obliterate the other ETs. Like they don't attack the ETs.
I like these guys.
They take out the planet.
Is there
they
any
take out
kind
the
of
planet that has that it seats their government? They take out the planet that seats their secondary government, and they take out the planet that seats their tertiary government.
So what happens if their third and tertiary government happens to be on Earth? We're screwed.
Earth is off limits.
They're going to annihilate Earth.
There's a movie that showed what would happen, guys.
Independence Day.
They call LeBron James, and he goes plays basketball with the Toon Squad.
Oh, okay.
Oh, Space Jam. I thought you were thinking of Hitchhiker.
Oh, yeah.
I was thinking you were thinking of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
So is there any kind of anti-consortium?
I don't want that to happen. I don't have enough towels.
Well, there'd have to be an anti-consortium. Every single place where there is government, there's anti-government. So, I mean, there has to be.
So moving along, Keith, what's your first question tonight? And we have about 3 minutes before we have to go to the next break, but we can carry over.
Oh, that's the easy part.
Okay.
Why is it the people are so concerned about off-world invasion when they're not concerned about the security and communication lines between their own neighbors in their own neighborhood?
Well, that depends on who you talk to. Because I don't worry about off-world invasion as much as I do my own community with extremists and wildfires and disaster preparedness and things like that. So I think it depends on who you talk to.
I think it's because people can handle other people, but they can't handle something that they can't even understand.
True.
Yeah.
Or something
Yeah,
that can
I'd go along with
control
that.
their mind. Or something that can control their mind, because ETs are famously known for controlling human minds.
That is more propaganda than I care to count.
Oh, I wish you had experienced what I've experienced then. I'm here to tell you.
Oh.
They're real freaking good at it.
I can't sleep at night thinking about those Canadians coming over the border.
Oh, my God, right?
Oh, man.
I have a word for you.
What's that?
We're already here.
What is it?
Infiltrators.
See, hold on, though. Canadians are polite, and the border is closed, so they won't.
You don't know
Just put up a sign.
as I do.
You don't know how much we like our milk, okay?
That's true.
And cheese.
And real quick, so before we go to break, I want to. So Robert's got an awesome question in the chat room. We know aliens have been taking humans for abductions. Have they also been taking ghosts?
Not exactly. The ghosts go along of their own accord.
Yeah, that's just what I was thinking. That's exactly what I was thinking.
Because I mean,
they can go anywhere. They can go anywhere. They can go into different realms. They can do pretty much anything. They still have to abide by certain rules,
right?
For the most part. But yeah, they can go anywhere.
Do ghosts abduct other ghosts?
If they've got a family member who's being abducted, they'll follow that family member.
All right, and on that note, we are going to our first break for tonight. And then we'll be right back. Carry this on.
You are listening to S4 on Spreaker.com.
Welcome back to S4 with your host, Eric Cooper.
And welcome back
Didn't
to
you
S4
hypnotize
for our
last night?
second hour tonight. So Michael had to go get ready for Spaced Out Radio, and we have Harmony in now, so they just kind of passed the baton there. So, moving on with ghosts being taken by, I think we kind of answered that though. With spirits, they can go where they want anyway. Harmony, what's your first question? Harmony, you there? Did we lose Harmony already?
We didn't lose her, but she might just not hear us.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay, let's go on to Dave. Dave, what's your next question?
My next question has to do with the UFOs and everything. I'm still on a real UFO kick because that's what I've been doing a lot lately on Spaced Out Radio. As we look forward to any more type of disclosure that happens, yes, people who have experienced UFOs and ETs have already had their own disclosure. But what are we really expecting the governments to do? What do you want the governments to say, especially, and we're pointing at the United States government here in regards to this subject? What do you want them to say?
I'd like him to just say one thing. Yeah. I'd like him to say just one thing. We're not going to tell you.
Really?
And maybe that'll get people sorted around.
He's not wrong. Friend, we need them to actually give us some clarification either way.
Right.
They are never actually going to tell us everything.
No.
No, and honestly,
to screw off.
Honestly, if they came out and said that's classified and we can't disclose it, they admitted that there is aliens, but they're not going to tell you what they know.
Oh, please, they've already admitted there was aliens 100,000 times. We just haven't listened.
Well, we're in the midst of a pandemic.
Yeah.
So that's when they came out and said, hey,
before the pandemic came out, they admitted that.
No, they admitted it several times. Throughout history, they've admitted it in different little ways, in different little
blue
areas.
book.
And the fact is that we just took it as, oh, but what are they hiding? Well, they're never going to tell us what they're hiding, so why don't we just stop worrying about what they're hiding and try to figure it out on your own?
True.
I would actually enjoy if the United States government just came out and said, look, there are UFOs out there. They're not from Earth. We don't know too much about them. Here's a little bit that we know. Yeah, we're not going to get everything they know, but just it would take such a big stigma away from everything. Yep. People could talk about it then. It could be something that could be up for discussion. 90% of the discussions are they real? It would throw that whole thing right out the window. It's like, okay, they are here. Nobody really knows. Here's a little information.
People talking about without screaming at each other.
Right.
Well,
you know what?
It's still scream, but at least it would get that one question. It would remove that one question that's always there as, should I say anything to this person because they'll think I'm a nut? Or, you always have the argument. There's always at least one person in the room that's going to say, you're all full of shit, there's no UFOs. That would go completely away.
No, it wouldn't.
No,
you think about it. We have flat earthers that will argue vehemently.
Well, yeah, okay.
Plus, it would just bring out a whole new fight, Joe.
Let's have a new fight. I'm tired of the old fight.
But it'd be one of our old fights. It'd be the pineapple on pizza fight. Friggin' do aliens
Hey,
eat
I love pineapple on pizza.
So do I.
Now you got an alien invasion because they hate it.
Do aliens like pineapple on pizza?
The outside is so crunchy.
You're still going to have the skeptics. They're going to still pick it apart. They're still not, we don't believe the government anyway, so who cares what the government says? So you're still going to have
there are always going to be those people.
Right.
It's going to lighten it up a little bit. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
You're always going to have people, like you said, there are people out there that think the world's flat.
Uh-huh.
You're always going to have that 10% of the people that are, you can't convince them of anything.
No.
Right.
Well,
you could hit them in the head. You could hit them in the head with a bat, and they would say bats don't exist.
I like the way I heard it put one day. People that believe don't require proof, and people that don't believe there will never be enough proof.
True.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And wait, bats exist? Anyway, bats are just rounded off pointy sticks.
I thought you were talking about like a bat. Like a... Oh, okay.
Well, he was confused about that, too.
We'll call it a rake.
I've never hit somebody with a flying reptile.
No, neither have I.
Or flying rat.
We'll have to try that.
There's a first time for everything, guys.
There is.
I mean, I would be way more
Bats aren't
scared of
reptilian,
somebody
by the
hitting
way.
me with a bat than a bat.
And do we have Harmony back?
Harmony.
Yeah, I'm back.
There you are. Okay.
Welcome back.
What's your first question tonight?
So I was wondering if you guys have any personal experiences with ESP or other telepathic or superpower.
Well, I don't know about the super, but I grew up an uncontrolled telepath.
Right?
So I use the term grew up a little loosely.
Aged.
Wait, you grew up?
That's why I say, yeah, aged is a good way of putting it.
Well aged.
Like a fine wine there, Keith.
Right.
I've had
Nikki.
abilities all my life. Yeah.
What's your answer for that?
I've had abilities all my life. Never understood as a toddler why I could understand people that were thinking in their heads. I don't know how else to say that, but yeah.
Nikki, that'd be called telepathy.
Yeah. No, but see, I didn't understand that when I was a kid. I didn't understand why I could, as a lot of people call it, read people, read their behavior, their body language, what they were saying in their heads, have abilities, why animals... I used to be called... Okay, here's something. I don't say this publicly very often. I used to be called... My family privately used to call me the Little Miss Doolittle because I could, quote-unquote, talk to the animals. I literally had an ability to where I would have animals come to me. And I've got a girlfriend right now who that very thing happens to her all the time. Birds, insects, frogs, toads, all kinds of squirrels, all kinds of wildlife just gather around her. And that it's a natural ability. I've had that kind of thing all my life. And it really went sky bonkers a few years ago when I went, okay, we're going to do this and I came out of the psychic closet, as I call it.
Right.
And it just went whoosh. Because there for a lot of years I had it closed down as much as I possibly could because it wasn't okay to talk about it. And I was raised where you didn't talk about it because people are going to call you nuts. So early on, I was told and taught, keep your mouth shut, period. And you don't even talk about it with your family. I had one family member who was very much that way, and she's been gone for years. And she was essentially the one who was training me in a lot of my abilities that, of course, I didn't know that she was training me. But yeah, there are a lot of people on this planet who have gifts that they don't know that they've got. They don't even recognize because they're not consciously aware. It's just something that they do naturally. It comes. It's like breathing. It's second nature, so to speak.
Well, you know, in the 70s and the 80s, being psychic was taboo. It's what you didn't talk about. It was considered. It was considered New Age, and so within certain circles, New Age was satanic and evil. Yeah, that was my world growing up.
Bible Belt.
Huh?
My
I said, especially in the Bible Belt.
Oh, no, I was...
Well, that's just what I was going to say. My grandmother was raised by a Baptist minister. She got her butt beat. It's something that my family rarely talks about, but she and her siblings, I mean, if you did not do what their father said, he'd beat the living tar out of you. I had stories from my great uncle, from my grandmother, from her other siblings about their father, and it was something they didn't like to talk about. And I honestly believe that, and my cousins are going to shit a brick. Sorry, guys, but your grandfather, I loved him to pieces, man. He was one who partially raised me. I strongly believe that he and my grandmother were psychics in their own right, but they were taught and trained to keep their mouths shut, because if you didn't, you'd get beat.
Yep.
So,
to be perfectly honest, I've always thought of it as less of a superpower and more of a curse than anything. Like,
doesn't surprise me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just needs to go by the wayside.
Well, and that goes back to the many people that have gifts and don't know they have them, and wonder why they're being surrounded by spirits all the time.
Well,
you know, they call in a paranormal team. Paranormal team comes in and they might handle something, but there's something else the very next day. And
well, that's why I get a kick out of it. I like the way it was put in a movie one day. If these are gifts, why can't we return them?
oh, that's awesome.
Exactly.
Well, the thing is, once you meet the right people, and it's explained what your gift is and how to handle it, how to control it, how to somewhat close it. You can't always close it, obviously, but grounding and shielding is one aspect of helping with that.
Yes, but with that, okay, so when you're walking through an area like, let's say, a fair or Walmart or something like this,
a heavy populated area
with a ton of people, and you are seeing the good in people, the bad in people, the shit in people, and it just overwhelms you. It makes it to the point where you just need to take a break.
It's true empathy.
It's too much.
Everyone thinks they're an empath, but true empathy, you're actually physically feeling the emotions of those around you without being able to close it off.
Yeah, don't I know it? My problem is I tap straight into the planet itself. And rest assured, that is not a joyride.
I honestly believe that a lot of people that have severe anxiety issues have a telepathic or ability that gives them that issues. And the reason that they can't be in large crowds of people and they can't be around that many people in that many places at that much time is because they're feeling too much, they're hearing too much, they're seeing too much, and they can't handle it.
Ultimately correct. It's called sensory overload.
Yeah.
Yep.
I have one superpower. I am able to piss off...
Coffee drinking doesn't count.
Hey, no, I can almost piss off anyone in about 3 seconds.
Yeah, you just open your damn mouth.
Works great.
Well, that's why I tell people that, I make everybody I meet happy. Some by showing up and most of them by leaving.
So Keith, Robert wants to know only this Earth?
What do you mean only this Earth?
I don't know. He's in the chat room.
When you said you tap into just this, when you tap into this Earth as well.
Oh, this one I'm directly linked to. The other ones I can talk to. Other planets are literally another race. That's an entire race.
Yeah.
Planets
that bear life are actually...
I don't think he's
They're
talking
living
other planets.
entities,
I
aren't
think he's
they?
talking a multiverse type of situation where there's multiple Earths.
The answer would be yes.
Yes,
Okay.
but in a multiverse situation, there would be multi-Keiths, so therefore multi-Keiths would tap into multiverse.
Oh, that's scary.
Depends on, because there's not a guarantee every Keith,
Multi-Keith.
every Earth has the same ability.
Keith, have you ever met yourself?
I talk to myself all the time, if that helps.
All right.
No, there is a whole lot of complication that goes with that. That's why you don't jump from one universe to another as far as the multiverse goes.
Right.
There are safeguards involved there to avoid cataclysmic disruption.
Well, you can jump. You just have to switch instead.
I disagree with that. I actually met myself in another dimension, and it was one of the scariest dreams or encounters, whatever you want to call it, that I've ever had. It almost looked like a very dark, dreary night in a small American-style town that has a main street of old buildings, and it was dark, it was raining, and I was trying to find a hotel room for the night because I knew that I was supposed to be going somewhere else, and I went to ask this gentleman questions and to get some directions, and he was standing under a street lamp, and he was wearing black jeans, black shirt, black leather jacket. His hair was all wet from the rain, and when I looked him in the eye, it was me. And it was an evil side of me.
Evil Dave.
And he literally told me...
I'm sorry, the person you were trying to reach has a voicemail box that has not been set up yet.
Hold on.
Please try your call again later. Goodbye.
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 Bye.
And he told me point blank that that he would kill me right then and there for bothering him if he knew that it wasn't going to affect him.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
So you were in another realm.
Yes.
Yeah. That was Evil Dave.
So, do you guys?
I've had that happen.
Do you guys put any stock into like the Highlander theory or into any of that, where like the One or anything, where if one version of you dies in another world, that it gives you certain abilities of the one that died in the other world?
No, because if that were the case, this world would have ceased to exist a long time ago.
Yeah, that's just what I was going to say. Took it right out of my mouth. Totally agree.
So, Joe, are you still here?
Yeah, I was just going to answer the question. I was thinking about the telepathy question or superpowers. My answer to that would be I'm about as telepathic as a stump. Dave's tried to encourage me. Dave's tried to encourage me to talk to the Bigfoot when they come around. They might be hearing me, but I'm not hearing them. But one thing I do have is I've learned over the years I can walk into a place, either someone's house where I've never been or a bar or something, and the hair on the back of my neck just stands up, and it's just like danger flashes. And you look around, everything's calm, there's nothing you can hear or see that, it's bad, but I will turn around and walk right back out because I've learned through trial and error that if I get that feeling, something bad is going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what you want to call that, but I do pay attention to my intuition, I guess.
Okay.
Except when it comes to aliens.
Well,
yeah, they're overrated.
See, now I've always had something that I call like future casting. Where I'll see little tiny bits and pieces of something, and then years later, I remember, wow, I've already seen that before, or I've already done that before.
Like deja vu.
Yeah, kind of like deja vu, except it's like it can be anywhere from 6 months to like 3 years to 5 years.
Yeah, it's also known as precognition.
And it's the stupidest things. It's certain machines and how to operate them. It's certain things like that. Like, it's just weird things.
Okay, Joe, what's your next question?
Well, let's keep on the UFO thing here. I was thinking, a lot of people say, well, the UFOs are here to study us. They're scientists. They have this motivation to that motivation. Isn't it possible that some of the aliens come to visit, this is like Disneyland for them, and we're just there for entertainment?
You're absolutely right.
I mean, seriously.
That's awesome.
You're absolutely right there. The reality of it is the Martokians are a prime example of that. They bring class outings here.
Nice.
This is
Do their animals ever get loose when they visit? And that's why we have chupacabras and stuff like that?
Like
Precisely.
Nice.
In some cases, yeah. But, you know, yes, we are Disneyland for some of them. I firmly believe that, and we're dinner for the other ones.
Yeah, it's great hunting ground for some of them.
Right?
I don't know if I'd say Disneyland. I'd say we're more Knott's Berry Farms. We're like on the way there, so why not stop by while we're here?
And the other ones are going, kids, put your seatbelts on. We're going by that damn planet Earth again.
Right.
Yeah.
Roll the windows up.
Yep. Yeah, and don't feed the animals.
We're like the Detroit.
No,
of the
if you think about it, the guys that are supposed to be here studying us, and the military ones and the scientific ones, they're coming in, they're looking, they're leaving, they're cloaking their ships, and then you got the tourists coming in, and that's why we get all the UFO crashes.
Right.
I firmly believe that most of the UFO crashes are driving lessons.
Yeah.
So here's a question for you: Where on Earth, if you could imagine, is the visitor center for the spaceships coming in?
Antarctica, duh.
Is it?
That'll be the moon.
Someplace...
It ain't on Earth.
You think the moon?
Oh, I gave up on the thinking side. It confuses me.
Moon is like the way station. I could see that.
Basically,
kind of like they have to stop there first, buy their ticket, and then they get a map and they give a little rule book and
buy your ticket. But yes, they check in there and they check in there first to find out what they're dealing with.
And then they go to a restaurant and have some human for barbecued human.
I'm pretty sure that some of them do.
Yeah.
I mean, we probably taste delicious.
The Techlex.
Yeah, but the Techlex won't set foot in a restaurant for it.
No, they just invite you on the ship. And say, come on over for dinner. Little did you know.
Yeah, I mean, they're very sociable. They'll invite you to dinner.
So what does the Techlex ship look like?
The Techlex ship?
Yeah.
That is one that I keep having fun trying to pin down.
Okay.
Now, is it possible that the Techlex, invented candy just to fatten us up so that we taste
Oh, Lord, no. No, in all fairness, they don't have that much of a sweet tooth.
Okay. All right.
Oh, no. She's saying invented candy to fatten the humans up.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I gathered that up, but they don't. No, they are much more interested in the actual meat, not in the extra additives. Which is really funny when you think about it. That by definition means that the healthier you eat, the more likely a Techlex is going to find you enjoyable.
Oh God, I'm eating more grease.
That's awesome. I am not going to be Techlex dinner.
Nope.
Cool.
Nope. I'm going back on a candy binge.
Right.
You hear that? Candy binge. Candy binge. Yeah. Because you know they listen to S-4.
I thought I forgot something. The answer to your question.
Yeah.
Needle shape.
Needle shaped.
Needle shape. They look like the sand darts that are on the Strazozian homeworld.
Okay. So,
but they are basically, they're a four-sided ship. Right. They look very much. I'm a lousy artist, but picture, if you will, almost like a double terminate gem, but with only four sides.
Oh, interesting.
I don't think I've seen any pictures of that one.
Not surprising, because they'll hit the water at hyperspeed, and you won't even see them penetrate it.
Oh, so they go into water?
They'll hit out in the middle of the Atlantic or out in the middle of the Pacific. You'll never see them coming in because they'll hit it at over 700 miles an hour.
So like a
Keith,
crystal.
No, they're not made of crystal. They just look like a crystal.
Like a crystal. That's interesting.
Okay. Nikki, what's your next question?
Well, he just brought up a something I'd like to know about. What's the ETs that are off of the coast of Washington? That's not my next question. It's my next question for Keith, but not the next roundtable question.
Okay.
Off the coast of Washington?
Yeah, there's one between right off the coast, right off of Whidbey Island.
They're not ETs. You're talking about the Sea Elves. Ancient race. Okay, as in they evolved here.
There's a race. Okay, I'm not debating. I'm just wanting to describe something. There's a race that I get really seriously sick every time I spot this one location, and I know it's a race of quote unquote ET, but I don't know what kind. I've never seen their ship. I know I've seen them. I do not know how I know I've seen them, but I know I've seen them. My instinct is they piss me off. They make me very, very sick. And I want to stay away from, yeah.
I got one itty-bitty question for you.
Yeah.
With that particular race, or never mind that particular race, you personally, if you're around people that are highly psychic themselves, do you feel a low grade disruption of a similar feel to that upset stomach thing?
Not to that degree, no.
Not to that degree. Not anywhere near that degree.
There's a slight disruption of my own personal field, but it's not enough to where it'll make me lightheaded. It's not enough to where I'll just go, okay, and then I put up a barrier. Well, when I try to put up a barrier around whatever this feeling is, and I asked another person that I know is an abductee who was there at the time, and I'm like, what kind of feeling are you getting? He described exactly what I was feeling, and it got to the point to where I used my internal gut. I'm going to call it my internal gut because I can't think of the word I want right now. And I used me as a, not a barometer, to find the location, my body as a location finder. And I found them and I went, that's where they're at. Matter of fact, when I looked on a map, I was able to pinpoint it because I got the same exact feeling.
Did you happen to see a ship, or for that matter, the remains of one?
No, but I can feel them, and I know they're on three different areas of Washington.
Well, the only race I can think of that would do that to you would be the Udina.
Good God, I've never heard of them. What are they?
Have you ever seen the show Arrival?
Yeah.
Meet the Udina.
Really?
The backwards legs, alien.
Really? Okay. Well, now I know what I'm dealing with. They're actually ones that I want to run from. They piss me off enough to where I'm like, get the bleep and a bleep bleep away from me now. My reaction to them is like, they have no business being around humans. And I do not understand why I have that feeling. I just know it's... I know I've met them. I just don't know how I've met them yet.
The why would be the easy part.
Why is
You're dealing with a vibratory rate that is so foreign to human thinking that it goes way outside your ability to cope.
Oh, so I'm being sensory overloaded.
Yes.
Oh, well, that explains a lot. Okay.
So, where off the coast of Whidbey are you picking up on this?
I'd have to show you the map that I've got, but it's there's two locations. There's one on either side of Whidbey.
Okay.
And then there's one down the coast of Washington State, which I cannot honestly remember at this given second, but I know there's three of them. And I do know that the U.S. government works with once the waterway between Washington's, how do I say this? Between between Whidbey Island and western side of Washington. I cannot think of what that waterway is right now. I'm sorry, guys.
That sounds like the Strait of Juan de Fuca.
The Strait of Juan de Fuca.
Yeah, there's a stretch in there, and then there's on the other side of Whidbey Island.
You're talking more closer to the Loomy Island.
Yeah, I gotta look at the map again. I pinpointed it, and wow.
I wouldn't necessarily call that working with them.
No, I don't mean working with them. Oh, sorry. I see what you just meant. Got it. Yeah, they what I picked up was that there was some kind of and I want to prove this. I want somebody to take me out there so that I can't pinpoint this location. I mean, I could pinpoint it. I would stake my life on it. Let's put it that way. That's how positive I am.
Yeah, that would be what it would be.
Have fun, because I stick with the woods. I don't play on water.
Well, I play on water. I'm a water baby, so.
No.
It's over by Fort Flagler.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
Sounds about right.
The magazine factory.
Don't get me wrong. I love the ocean, but I will walk on the beach of the ocean. I will not play on the water. Not at all.
Yeah. I'm a water baby.
I think it'd be more entertaining to walk on the water itself.
Right?
Ooh, yeah, wouldn't it?
There's a really interesting government testing site over there as well. Just letting you know.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't call it interesting, in my opinion.
Yeah.
There's more in that water than most of us know about.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Cascadia subduction zone.
I accidentally.
No, I meant by military wise.
Right.
Yeah, that was. Yeah.
So, Arnold, what is your next question?
Dragonflies, do you think they are spirit world messengers or spiritual guardians?
Dragonflies are carriers of the Fae.
Yeah.
And I saw your pictures today.
Okay. But I'm going to go back to something else.
Okay.
And, of course, with my wife recently passing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I walked out not too long after that, and I've got a blue one, a blue dragonfly. That's why those are blue. That meets me about halfway over to where I dump the garbage, or if I go down by where the manager's office is or something like that. But it's in that area, and it's almost every day if I go out, and it follows me.
Did your wife have an affinity for dragonflies?
Yes.
Then she could be communicating with you through the fly, letting you know that everything is okay.
Yeah. She keep it.
Which is
Go ahead.
Which is cool because everything was happening so on the day she passed away. Everything happened so fast, from the butterfly coming up to the windows of our bedroom, flying back, and then lightning the limb above us where I was standing. But now that's why I started drawing these, just due to the fact that we've lived here almost a year. In August to be a year. Mm-hmm. I never had that happen and stuff. That's why I was asking tonight, is it like that, or is it like you come up with Fae or whatever? But
it's not necessarily a spirit messenger, but it is a way of communicating that everything is all right.
Right, because she knows that you knew, or she knows that you knew that she had an affinity for dragonflies, so that's the catalyst. The catalyst that she's using to communicate with you.
Okay, I wanted confirmation on it because that's what I thought, but it was just interesting that it's in the same area.
You're also aware of watching for signs.
Mm-hmm.
And a person that is usually aware of watching for signs, you're going to have, usually after somebody passes, you're going to have signs, whether it's pennies on the ground or dimes on the ground or butterflies. Even frogs can be a sign. Toads, squirrels coming up to you for no apparent reason. Dragonflies are very common for that. So are the butterflies. So are moths, unusual moths, certain birds. Spirit can actually direct those. It's not just the elementals that can do that, but spirit can actually direct those to a person where they've lost a loved one. And if you're having that much, that means they're letting you know that you're very loved, that she's okay, not to worry, and everything will be all right.
No, and that's what I thought.
Yeah, it's confirmation for you, but at the same time, it's very fortunate that you're aware of that kind of stuff, because a lot of people, even bees, honeybees will come up. I've seen honeybees come up to somebody after they've had a loved one pass. Really bizarre to me, and I'm like, wow, okay, that's pretty cool.
Well, I see that, and just not too long after stuff happened here, my son texted me and he said, "Hey, I had a visit from Mom," and I'm like, "Oh, really? I just did too." And but his was completely different. He had been playing one of her favorite songs, and all of a sudden he gets out and he has a seagull circling above his car, above the car, not too far away. And everybody's like, "Wait a minute, we don't normally see these over here that often."
No,
and he was like,
he's in Eastern Washington. There's not seagulls over there usually.
No, in Ellensburg. Yeah.
Nope.
So he's like, yeah, and it was just kind of quick. But no, the dragonfly thing, as much as it's happening, and it's just kind of cool because, like I said, a year living here, you really didn't see anything like that. Like the butterfly, it was here. Now it was gone after that day. Hadn't really seen one of those around and stuff. But just, I've had other people say it, but I just wanted to ask it tonight. And that's why I started drawing what I draw, because it's just kind of helps me get through the stuff. Oh, very.
Yeah.
Very.
All right. So, Keith, what's your next question?
Well, it's kind of a twisty. I mean, we mentioned we didn't want to get into politics, but I'm going to border on the edge of it anyway. I am curious why it is that people are so intent on the government telling them anything, and they're waiting for that to happen to believe it.
Now, for me, I'm not. I believe in the UFO. I believe in the UFOs. I don't need them to tell me they exist.
Exactly.
But on the other hand, I do want to know what kind of information the government has.
Right.
I mean, I know they're there. I've seen them. But I want to know. I want to see their photos. I want to see their videos. I want to hear the first-hand accounts that they've got.
See,
that's all that goes for me.
President.
Well, it goes
so you can get a look at those.
But it's validation for a lot of other people too. It's validation.
It's validation, but what does the government know? And with what the government knows, it could change the way our vehicles run. When you're talking a different energy source.
Yeah.
It goes a little beyond just, we know that they're abducting humans, we know they're here, they're visiting, we can't control them. That's a national security issue, which it pretty much said in the 9-page or the 4-page document, that it was a national security issue. Because
hence the question. Like, why rely so much on governmental admittance to whether or not they're real, when we know that governments around the world, not any one in particular, governments are absolutely crucial for society.
Mm-hmm.
And yet governments around the world have hidden staggering amounts of information on simple, mundane things.
And, the Brazilian government came out and disclosed, the UK government came out and disclosed, the French government came out and disclosed, even the Canadian government came out and disclosed. It's just the U.S. government, and I don't hold my breath on the U.S. government. The U.S. government is not the end-all of the world, to me.
No, but it is, Eric, it is the world power, though. Everybody looks to the U.S., all right? So recently, I don't know if you know this or not, okay, but there are 5 countries, according to my insiders, that share UFO information. Mm-hmm. It is the United States, Great Britain, France, Canada, and Australia.
Right.
Now, a week and a half ago, it went in front of British Parliament. The opposition party was actually grilling the Minister of Defense about opening up the British UFO files for over an hour. They grilled the Minister of Defense in question period, and she refused to open them up, saying there was nothing to discuss, and therefore we're not going to be getting into anything regarding national security. Canada has not said a thing. Australia recently has started opening up about some of their case files. France has been silent as well. So the point that we're getting at is this, okay? Everybody here is pointing to the U.S. because when things get ruffled around the world, you look to your mega power, all right? And the U.S. being the leaders of the free world, that's why the attention is all on America, all right? And that's why it's important for this to come out, because it's like anything. I mean, as children, you know, if we want to do something or we want some information, we usually go to our parents.
Right.
All right. It's the same thing. The United States, we want answers from the people who are in the know. We know they're covering things up. That's why it's important that if the big kid on the block is withholding information, that's why everybody's looking there.
Oh, absolutely. I thought Nick Pope. I thought Nick Pope, being in the Ministry of Defense prior, said they brought out a lot of the UFO files.
No, Nick Pope, in my opinion, is the biggest waste of money that anybody could be listening to in the UFO field. The only thing Nick Pope does is rehash information that everybody else has already stated. It is absolutely ridiculous that Fox News or the New York Times gives him any sort of press whatsoever. This guy is milking it in on generalizing information. He knows how to say a lot without giving up anything. And he's made a career off of that, and it's sad to say. If he really, really wanted to, he could be the British version of Luis Elizondo. He chooses not to by hiding around his NDAs. Okay? I mean, it's sad that Nick Pope gets all of this publicity, and I've never spoken to the man. I don't know the man or anything like that. I know a lot of people who think he's a pretty good guy, and I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt. But what has he told us? All you have to do is watch Fox News the last 6 months, and the only thing Pope ever says is repeating anything that Chris Mellon or Luis Elizondo says. He has no information for himself. It's ridiculous.
And why would anybody watch Fox News to begin with?
Yeah, but it's not about whether it's Fox News or not.
I know, but they do a lot of interesting.
Yeah, but that's just politicizing the topics. UFOs, it doesn't matter whether it's CNN or Fox News or Democrat or Republican. Okay, this is a multimedia, multi-political party concept, and we have, in order to clean up the conversation, we have to get out of this. It's Fox News or it's CNN or it's the Republicans or it's the Democrats. This subject is multiversal. And we have to be able to stop. If you want to crap on Fox News, that's great. You do it all day long. But you know what? Well, the other markets and the other mediums were not covering this topic. Fox News did. Remember that.
Exactly.
I used to think that it was the major media that was the problem. And then the internet hit, and I found out the major media isn't the problem. The population is.
Okay, so that's exactly...
Going on...
Sorry. So when you say...
Going on what you were saying... Oh, go ahead.
Okay. When you said, Dave, that we're like the parents, okay? Mm-hmm. So the kids will come to us for approval for something, or they'll come to us for answers for something, okay? Well, just like every other set of parents everywhere, if there's something that's going to harm that child, they're not going to tell them about it. Or they're going to skirt around it, or they're going to hide something.
Bingo.
So the fact fact is that they believe that they might be doing it for good reasons, or for the fact that if we do have an alternative source of energy and we do have all these things, well, then that leaves industries asking for more and having no employees and all this other stuff that leads to the detriment of our economy and everything else.
No, absolutely.
Well, and to add to that, though, but you also have to realize that for the last 70-plus years, the United States especially has been in a military industrialized complex.
Absolutely.
Everything is revolved around the military. They have no if they had a choice to give us free energy or to use it on new weaponry, they're going to choose weaponry every time.
Absolutely.
Every time.
And
they've already proven that.
Yeah.
Look, a great example of this, everyone. We see it every day, and we do not pay attention to this. One of the biggest wastes of money out there right now is flight. Why are we still flying 747, 767s that take multiple people, which is great, but it's still taking us 19 hours to fly to Australia from Seattle or LA or Vancouver, okay, when we already are developing hypersonic speed? Okay, we had supersonic speed with the Concorde, but they after the Air France crash, they shut it down, saying it wasn't feasible, it wasn't affordable. You're telling me with today's technology that they have in building jet fighters that can fly Mach 2 plus with stealth capability, plus carry a weapons payload almost a quarter of the weight of the aircraft, all right, that they can't figure out flight? This is where they don't want us to go,
yes,
right?
Absolutely.
Because they want that for themselves. I mean, look, it was in the 1950s that the SR-71 was first designed to fly Mach 3.3. That's the speed we knew it could fly. We don't know if it hit Mach 3.8 or Mach 4 or Mach 4.5. We don't know. We don't know. All we were told is that it hit Mach 3.3 plus.
Well,
so therefore, go ahead.
Well, aren't they coming out with, there was a article that I read a couple months ago where they're talking about bringing the Concorde back in the next 2 to 3 years. And I was like, wait a minute, what? And they're talking about it being 5 hours from, say, like Seattle or New York to London, to Heathrow. And I was like, wait a minute, and I never saw another article on it. And I researched that article, and I was like, okay, this keeps coming up as a genuine news article. And I'm like, wow, okay. So anybody else hear about that? Because if they're actually going to do that, and they're going to shorten it down from the time that they had before, like you were saying, 19 hours, that's a big difference. It's a gigantic difference.
Look, if we can take the Aurora project as being real, which there is, if you watch Michael Schratt in any of his videos, and I highly encourage anybody to go watch Michael Schratt on YouTube, SCHRATT. He is a Black Projects expert, okay? And this is someone who literally has the paperwork showing that during the 90s, every Thursday for months, that there was
skyquakes.
There were skyquakes happening that were registering on the Richter scale of around 1.3 every Thursday. Now, the way Michael described this was this. Thursday was flight day for this aircraft. All right? Saturday, Sunday, or Friday, Saturdays were the debriefing. Sunday was a day off. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday was to prepare for the next flight. They estimated that this aircraft would take off at Area 51, fly over Los Angeles area, which recorded the earthquake on the seismographs, fly through the Pacific, fly up north through Alaska, then over to Russia, over to China, back over Alaska, through Canada, over Montana and Idaho, and then back into Nevada, all within 2.5 hours.
Wow.
That equates to around 7,000 miles per hour that this aircraft was flying, which is hypersonic speed.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, if that happens, it goes back to why are we flying to Australia on a 747 that's top speed is 580 knots. It's outdated, and that gets back to the whole UFO thing, okay, which is the military-industrial complex will never allow this information to get out to the public because the United States military wants it first. They want all the toys, okay? They got the internet first. They got telecoms first, okay? They get everything first. That's part of the military-industrial complex, and it's very alive and well when it comes to UFOs.
You know, it's interesting. Everyone was talking just a little while ago about you have to go to the big dog. You have to go to the United States to see what they say about it, whether they're going to release the information. Mm-hmm. I've always been kind of thinking in the back of my mind, that's not where we're going to get the information from. Right now, we're in sort of a lukewarm or cold war with China. And who's to say that they don't get mad and they release all their information and say it's real just to piss off the United States?
And I could see that happening.
Yeah.
Anybody want to tell me why I just heard the word Brazil in my head? They're the ones that are going to release? I'm like, Brazil? Seriously?
It might be.
Brazil's already released.
I can't.
Yeah, that's what I thought, Dave.
They didn't release everything yet.
That gives.
Brazil's got a lot of cases with actual entity contact. Entities, I believe it was in Brazil that they were actually taken and turned over to the U.S. government. So, Brazil's got enough activity alone that I could see that happening. Yeah, I agree. I agree with Cole on that.
Brazil also has some very strange cases that include landings, that include wars with aliens. There is a story of Anubis-like dogmen creatures in armor and swords that have taken on soldiers. Brazil is absolutely nuts when it comes to UFOs.
Don't they have the Varanga incident down there where there was aliens running around the town and everybody in town was seeing them, and the soldiers that got near one of them got sick and died?
Yeah, Brazil's definitely a hotbed of UFO and alien interaction. So I would definitely love to see their files.
Now that would be interesting.
It would.
That would be a mind bender, I think, for a lot of people, especially with some of the weird stuff I've heard. Weird stuff.
I think more of a mind bender than what the U.S. could release, honestly. I mean, the U.S. has some interesting cases, don't get me wrong. But when you talk about the extreme and the crazy files, Brazil would be another one.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I think it's going to be one of the other countries that blows it wide open. And the U.S. is just going to have to follow suit at that point.
Well, yeah, because if they blew everything wide open, everyone's going to look straight to the U.S.
Oh, yeah.
From that point. Because of what the U.S. has actually opened up.
But, Eric, you also have to realize, too, that the mainstream public and the mainstream media dropped the ball on one major variant of the report, and that was that the DNI report only went back to the 2004 USS Nimitz incident. All right? It has not dabbled in the history. American media has not asked about Roswell. They have not asked about Phoenix. They have not asked about Pittsburgh, or the Marfa Lights, or the Flatwoods Monster, or what happened in Washington State, way back before Roswell. Okay, we're seeing a lot of this history.
I mean, in 1952 with the UFO fly over the White House. I mean,
yeah.
So no, you're right.
Absolutely.
They didn't look at. They didn't even talk about the past. And what I thought was funny. So when I was actually in the Army, if you were a pilot and you saw a strange craft in the sky, you didn't talk about it. What did come out with this 9-page report is now they're encouraging military pilots to talk about it. So
they didn't even cover. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Well, they didn't even in the report. They didn't. It's all military. They didn't even cover the commercial aspect of it.
No.
Look at all the commercial pilots that have seen stuff. It's all
absolutely
military.
And that's another
the
part.
Japan Airlines flight, the 747 that went over Alaska.
Right.
That intrigues me a lot.
Well, that was.
And they had radar tapes. They had the eyewitnesses. I believe they had a radar from both Anchorage and Fairbanks picking it up.
And
yes, they did.
What aggravated me the most too is the way they approached it. They said they only wanted reports from military pilots. To hell with the experiencer and the general civilian that actually sees shit daily. They don't want to hear anybody but military pilots. And yeah. On that note, though, we have to go to our second break. We'll come back. Dave, you're in the chute for the next question.
You are listening to S4 on Spreaker.com.
host, Eric Cooper.
And welcome back to S4 for our last hour tonight of our S4 5th anniversary. Yes, we are 5 years old. Crazy old for a podcast / radio show. So, Roundtable. Dave, what's your last question for tonight?
Final question for all of you for tonight would be in regards, I'm going to stick with the UFO theme here, in regards to what do you think the biggest story is that the United States government is covering up? Because the report only goes back from 2004 to 2021, and we know there are a ton of stories that need to be revisited and a lot of good information brought forward, especially information that we don't have. So for you guys, what story or what investigation would you like to see the open files for?
That's easy. Dulce Wars. I want to see the Dulce reopened. And that stems from Philip Schneider.
Origins of humanity.
What?
The actual origins of humanity would be the biggest one.
Well, yeah, we're talking the UFO files from
Chicago Airport.
So am I.
Huh?
Chicago Airport.
Okay, O'Hara. That's another curious one.
But yeah,
I'd like to see the overflight of the White House in the early 50s. I believe there was even a shoot 'em down order, and that they might have been doing some shooting at the UFOs at the time, and one of them might have got hit, and that's the origins of the Flatwood Monster. It's interesting to see the correlations between all that. 51, 52?
That was in 1952, and they actually had a radar return from the military of the flyover of the White House, and that was actually lasted, I believe, 2 weeks.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, 2 weeks in a row. The interesting thing is, at that time, in the early 1950, 51, 52, we were in the middle of the Korean War, and we lost more fighter pilots and jets over the continental United States than we did over in Korea. And we got a bunch of really bad pilots, so there was stuff going on that we didn't know about. The Mantell case is another one.
Ooh, Deborah Chat was in the chat room. I agree with her. The war of the Battle of L.A. I would definitely agree with that one. That'd be another awesome one to reinvestigate, because we actually shot at a UFO over the coast of L.A. Yeah.
We saw something on TV about that.
The Battle of... Go ahead, Joe. Sorry.
Well, I was going to say the Battle of L.A. It was on TV. I was at Mom's. We were watching it. And she told me she was a little girl at the time. She was like 8 years old, and she remembers that. Mm-hmm. She remembers the air raid sirens and all the shooting started. She was terrified. I mean, back then they had blackout curtains over all the windows, and it was just, a month and a half after Pearl Harbor. Yeah. Everyone was terrified there was going to be an invasion. And she remembers that, and she was absolutely terrified.
Oh, son of a gun. My mom talked about that. Totally forgot about that.
Mine would be the Phoenix Lights.
Right.
And, I mean, we had over 60,000 witnesses to the Phoenix Lights back on March 13th, 1997. And including Governor Fife Symington, who absolutely mocked his population and his citizens by the next day holding a press conference that had every major media outlet there, and shows up with two Arizona Highway Patrolmen walking in a fake alien in a costume in handcuffs, and the alien coming to the microphone and saying he's sorry. And then 15 years later, Symington comes out and says that he saw the craft with his own eyes, and he was sorry for the way he treated the citizens. Well, but nobody ever asked him, why did you do that?
But the thing is, if I remember right, the night of the Phoenix Lights, because I was in Germany when that happened, and I actually watched it on CNN from Germany. But if I remember right, that same governor was on TV that night, the night it happened, talking about it. And it was the very next day that he changed his whole tune and came out and mocked him. Like somebody got to him.
Well, I did hear a thing that at the time, Symington was under investigation and was being sued. And after he came out with the alien in handcuffs, that all went away.
Yeah.
They could have cut a deal with him. It would have been real simple.
Right. So, Arnold, what's your most famous case that you'd like to see reopened?
Probably Roswell, because that's the most that when I was around my family, especially my uncle who worked at Commissat over in Eastern Washington, that one would probably be one that was interesting because there was a lot of stuff that he said that we didn't hear totally on that, and they knew people that worked up there and seen some stuff and heard some stuff differently, and I think it'd be interesting to open that one back up and find out what all came out of it. But yeah, it's just because of family that had not really been in direct involvement, but heard and saw stuff as well.
Okay, J-Ron's in the
I
chat.
I just thought of one that involves UFOs.
Okay.
It's been rumored at for years ever since it happened, and I'd love to find out what really happened. Was the first Apollo landing? You know, the rumors that Armstrong said I can see them. They're on the crater rim looking at us. I want to know if that's all true and what they have from that.
True.
What have we seen in space?
Right.
What have we seen on the moon?
So
see, that's the thing is.
Go ahead.
My interest isn't so much in a UFO thing. It's more what the global governments are up to. Because I caught wind of an interesting maneuver. They're building the technology right now to move an asteroid into geosynchronous orbit around the moon in order to build a starship manufacturing plant.
Eric, I hate to cut this short, but I have to get going here.
Okay.
I do apologize. Happy anniversary to you and everybody at S4. You're one of the good guys in this field, and thank you so much for having me tonight.
Oh, well, thank you for coming on, Dave.
Have a good one, Dave.
Thanks, Dave.
Have a good one, Dave. Oob.
Take care, panel. Oob.
All right, so Maury Island. I think Nikki, you'd remember the Maury Island incident. I would like to know more details about the Maury Island incident.
Yeah, I would too, actually, but that's not the one I was thinking of.
What were you thinking of?
There's an entire chapter I will not divulge yet, but of this book, and they know why. The spooks know why, but I want to see everything in that chapter revealed. Every piece of documentation, every description, every diagram, every chart. Getting ticked
You won't live long enough.
I know! That's the problem.
Oh, and I don't mean you wouldn't live long enough for them to show it to you. I mean, once they show it to you, you wouldn't live long enough to see it all.
Yeah, well, I've already seen it. The problem is I want the government to reveal it all.
Right.
Yeah, good luck with that.
I want it. Yeah, I know. That's the whole point. It's never going to be.
I agree with you. I agree with you 100%. You know, I don't need the government to confirm anything. No. I just want to know what they know.
Yeah.
I want to see their files. I want to see their photos.
Okay,
you know?
well, look at it this way. For the abductee, it's validation. It allows them to be able to openly or start to become more open in conversing with other people about it, not in these hidden groups or in groups that are becoming more predominant online, but yet, you want to find a quality group that you can feel, that you can trust, that you can talk about it. We have pilots, we have commercial pilots, we have private pilots who have all witnessed this. It would validate, and validation is important when you're going through all the high emotions and all the garbage that you go through when you see these things, or when you are an experiencer as an abductee. So, yeah, that's the kind of thing that I think it would be great in general for the population. Is it needed? For that case, yes. For that scenario, those types of scenarios, yes. But is it honestly needed? No. Grand scheme of things, no. Is the government honestly going to do it? Most likely not.
No.
No,
But
they're going to
the hope is exactly, and the hope is that they will provide some kind of validation for those who have gone through it, so that they don't feel like they're losing their flipping minds. So, but hello, it's evidence they've going through it, because you've got physical things happening to you.
Okay, I'm gonna throw a question in here, and I'm gonna get away from the UFOs for a while. So you want to get into the paranormal field, but you want to go up in the mountains and look for Bigfoot. What do you recommend a newbie take with them in the mountains on their Bigfoot trip?
Other people.
A ham.
Other people, definitely.
Absolutely other people.
Jam.
Huh?
Slam Jam.
Okay.
It doesn't matter whether you're going to hunt for Bigfoot or anything. You go into the mountains, you take people with you. You don't go anywhere alone.
Absolutely.
I'm up here with there's bears.
You'll be fine.
Guys,
We have bears, we got mountain lions, we have gullies, we have rock falls, we have. You just don't go anywhere in the wilderness alone. Period.
I like Robert's answer. Slower people, because the slowest one is the one's going to get eaten.
Hey, if you are smart enough to go out in those woods by yourself, at least be smart enough to tell somebody where you're going.
Absolutely. And take a firearm.
Yeah.
So I'm not about taking firearms for paranormal investigations in general. I'm not going to take a firearm to a client's home. I'm going to take a knife to a client's home at a minimum, because you don't know what you're walking into with humans.
All about the 80s slasher movies.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I think one thing you should leave behind
He brought a knife
beard.
to a ghost fight.
I'm going to take a pointy stick.
Yeah,
made of metal.
Don't take alcohol. That's a good point.
Right. But so I recommend a survival kit, a first aid kit, amongst the paranormal gear you're going to take. Make sure and I've said this on the show so many times. It kills me about paranormal TV with some of these Bigfoot shows, where. Oh look, the guy's in khaki shorts with a bottle of water.
What, you mean Survivor Man? Where it's just one dude with a whole cam crew?
Yeah, so you got, Billy Bob over here that thinks, that would be so fun. And so he grabs his khaki shorts, and I've seen it happen. This is no bullshit. I've seen it happen. They wear the exact same thing they wear in Ghost Adventures, and they go out and buy the exact same gear. They don't know the science behind it. They don't know why it works or how it works. They just know, hey, Zach Baggins carries this thing called a proximity meter. I'll go buy one, the exact same model, because it works. Because it works on Ghost Adventures. But, going back to the mountains, so you got this guy with khaki shorts and a bottle of water. They're going to go out and put khaki shorts on and grab a bottle of water and go up in the mountains and either, die, get hurt, or get lost, one of the three. But bear in mind...
Or all three.
Whoa.
Well, now, wait a minute. I'm up in the mountains right now, and I'm wearing khaki shorts, so get off me.
So I was going to say, whoa. There is one more option there.
But that's the difference. You live in the mountains.
I think he's lying.
Yeah.
I don't think you're wearing khaki shorts.
The one thing you take with you is a personal locator beacon that has GPS, that has a hell of a range. Because if you don't, and you end up missing, it's the one thing that David Paulides keeps talking about, and I agree with him. Take a personal locator beacon with you.
Right.
Yeah,
If
a
you
lot of
run into
skiers
trouble,
use
at
those.
least yeah.
The skiers use them all the time. And
A great thing to have with you.
We use them
Yeah, I
in
would say
snowmobile.
another thing to bring with you would be a shaker or a drum. If you're trying to attract them, they like music. And this woman who was the daughter of a chief, she taught me the Sasquatch song. And she said when you sing this song, that it actually will attract the Sasquatch, and it will let them know that you aren't in fear of the Sasquatch nation.
well, I sit out here and I play my guitar all the time.
My
And I
co-host
sing.
here didn't tell me the Harmony was back in the show.
Actually, I did when you first started.
Did you? Okay.
Yeah.
Welcome back, Harmony.
So maybe you should listen more.
Thank you.
I would say the number one thing you should take with you: common sense.
Well,
Exactly.
No, the common sense needs to go with you.
well, no,
Common
absolutely.
You leave that at home, stay in the mountains and just die there. Screw it.
Stupid people get
Like-
stupid prizes. I mean, come on. Yeah. We eliminate the gene pool by sending out the people with non-common sense.
Why did you look so upset at him when he said that?
But, yeah. No, you know, yeah, survival kit.
Well, I
first
can
aid
remember,
kit, weapons.
like you said, Eric, you got to carry certain things. And for me, I mean, I'm up here in the mountains. I live up in the Sierra Nevada. And when it comes down to just one thing, it's personal protection.
Right.
I mean, yeah, you can carry all the other stuff, but for me, I mean, I live here. I come walking out of the woods one day at my house, and my nephew was in my driveway. And he looks at me and says, "Why are you carrying a shotgun?" I said, "Why not?"
Right. You're in the mountains.
He says, "Okay, yeah, that makes sense." I go, "Hey, there's bears out here."
And you might need to protect one of them from the humans.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Hey, if they don't bother me, I don't bother them. I got to deal with all the animals around here.
Well, yeah, plus the talking
Most
monkeys
of
that
theirs
might
just want
stumble
your
into your
food
bunker.
anyway. So if you know how to pack your food away,
Yeah.
you're good.
Well, that's why I get.
Oh, I had 2 nights. 2 nights ago, I had a bear circling my house. I heard him out on one side. I mean, he was snorting that weird chuffing snorting that they make when they're really angry.
Mm-hmm.
And we got some big ones up here. And I heard him off to my right, and I'm looking over from the woods there, and then I hear it over behind the barn. That's way off to my left. It's like, okay, he's circling. But
Yeah, we just have little
I
black
stayed out
ones
here.
It was really a tech
I know,
in a bear costume.
Yeah, maybe. We have there's a great big cinnamon that runs around here. He's big.
Oh, wow.
All right, Harmony, since you're back, what's your next question?
I was going to ask you guys about the Philadelphia experiment, and if you're familiar with that, what you think about what really happened with the disappearing and the cloaking that they were doing, and
well, that's
how much
easy
of
for
that
us.
technology do you think is advanced even more than we know because of things being undisclosed?
Oh, and
That's in the late
whole
40s,
experiment
wasn't
was
it?
actually quite successful. They just made a mistake.
Yeah.
I made one miscalculation on it.
Yes.
It would have worked
People
fine
ended
if they'd
up in the
done on water that didn't have a flow to it. Problem was when they used the magnetic fields, what they did is they modified the separation between the molecules, which is why when the boat went back up and it connected and it locked in with everybody, because it only lasted for a moment.
Yeah.
But they literally managed to mesh it properly.
You know, years ago in the 90s, I heard a crazy theory about it, and I can't find it again. And the theory was, or the story was, that they went back in time, and actually they went into another dimension. What happened, they went into the dimension that reptilians were in. And when they came... Yeah,
the Queen?
It was weird. Again, I can't find that story again. It's almost like it got pulled off the internet. But when they came back, they tore a hole in the dimension between the reptilians, and the reptilians had a heyday and ate half the the crew, which is why they were all mutilated. But no. Yeah, it's
that guy should go to work for Disney.
Huh? I don't even remember where I saw this theory, but the theory was fascinating me. Like, seriously?
That would bring a whole new meaning to Frog Princess.
Right? Okay. But the rest of the story was the U.S. government found the reptilians, obviously, and made a contract with them for technology, and well, they violated their end of the agreement because, well, what's the government going to do? They can't control the reptilians. They're in our world now. But you know, I remember reading that story in the '90s, going, "Huh? Seriously? That was just the weirdest shit I'd ever heard."
Well, I'll grant you the weird part.
Yeah, I was thinking that too. Didn't they open a port or a vortex, an expanding and retracting vortex, where when they screwed it up, when the ship returned, the men were melted into the ship?
They
were the one we're talking about?
The ship.
They weren't melted into it, but they were merged with it.
Yeah, exactly.
Fused.
Yeah, they were.
What they did, and a portal is a good way of putting it.
Materialized.
Basically, what they ended up doing. See, here's the thing: we're told that matter is solid, that solid matter is solid, but basic science tells you that it's not.
Exactly.
And what they did with the Philadelphia experiment is they managed to bring the vibratory rate of the soldiers up to the same vibratory rate, up to a slightly off-kilter vibratory rate of the ship. Net result, when the water pushed the ship up, the soldiers were already in the process of falling through it. And it only lasted for a moment, which is why they only got halfway through.
And if they had gone through the whole thing, the soldiers would have gone into the water.
Yeah.
Basically. Now I get
precisely.
it. Okay. Now I fully get it. So basically,
I've heard part of it was.
Wait a second.
Go ahead.
Basically, they were trying to do what extraterrestrials do. I don't mean to keep bringing them back up, but because when we humans are taken, I don't know how else to say this, but it's like we're dematerialized. I don't know how else to describe it.
That is the way to put it. I've actually seen.
We're dematerialized and then
transfer them over.
Materialized onto the ship. Isn't that correct?
Yes, it is. I've actually
Trek.
seen part of the piece of equipment they use for it.
Because I remember, I have memories where I'm literally floating in air, but I can't see my body. And I can feel the ice cold, like in the wintertime, they take me butt-ass naked. I'm here to tell you, I freeze my balls off, and sorry, no balls, but hello. I freeze my tits off, excuse me, when I go. And when I return, I am shaking so bad that that's what actually wakes me up because my teeth are chattering. I'm so freaking cold that my teeth chatter is what wakes me up. And they try not to get me to wake up. So they try to make it to where my teeth don't chatter. Yeah, dude, hello. I have a really freaked out metabolism. So basically, you're being dematerialized and materialized all over again. So basically, that's what they were trying to do.
They were trying to figure out how to make invisibility actually work.
Holy crap.
Well, I heard a complete different thing on this, is that the Philadelphia experiment, they weren't trying to open up a wormhole. They weren't trying to find aliens or anything like that. All they were trying to do is they were using notes from Tesla to degauss the ship so that it wouldn't hit magnetic mines. It was a basic thing like that. They opened up a whole can of worms that they had no idea what was going to happen. They were just trying to protect the ship from mines during warfare. They had no idea that all this other stuff was going to happen.
So Keith, my question to you I did hear you, Joe. So my question to you becomes, you can keep a portal, or not a portal, you can keep a vortex open, correct? If that is the case, couldn't that vortex have been continuously opened even though the ship was rematerialized and the guys didn't fall through it, they fell into the metal itself? But in the grand scheme of things, couldn't that vortex have still been left open?
Technically, the answer is yes. But had it been left open, had it stayed open, number one, the people wouldn't have been caught in the middle of the boat. They'd have been dropped right through it.
Right through, yeah. But what if it had closed and something reopened it? Some fraction of something reopened it.
Well, woke something up on the other side.
Yeah.
It wouldn't matter because it would be the size of a quark, so it wouldn't matter if it was still open.
But a vortex being open in that location, technically couldn't a vortex Okay, I don't know how to say this. What I'm seeing in my head, what I'm being, I don't know if it's being shown or if it's me. I haven't figured that one out just yet. I'm not quite there. So basically what I want to know is, if that vortex closed and reopened a fraction of a second later or a couple of seconds later, vortexes are known to stay open and we can have problems coming through. Now, not necessarily that somebody was trying to materialize and dematerialize and all this other stuff. I'm talking about once that's done and over with, couldn't that portal or that vortex, big difference between the two, couldn't that vortex cause more issues in that location? Not with materialization or dematerialization, but with other things coming through, and couldn't that then become a hotspot?
Okay, but the problem
is that almost like not closing a Ouija board?
Yes.
Not exactly, because the problem with that, Nikki, is that the vibrations were so high, supposedly, on that it caused them to go into a quark-sized form. So basically, it made them nothing but the quark matter. Okay, so...
Got it.
That,
okay, I get it.
Okay, so in that, even if it reopened after that, without the reverse polarity of the magnetic field, it wouldn't matter. Because nothing that we have could fit through there.
But something could fit through it coming into our world, correct?
No, because a vortex is completely different than a portal. It's only in one-way entry.
Like a
Bad news. Bad news on that one.
What's
the vortex is not only a one-way entry.
See, I thought it was a two-way.
Well, technically it is, but the problem here, Nick, is you're talking about the theoretical triphasic disharmonics of the magnetic field. And the answer to your question is, if it opened up, by opening it up, number one, the second it collapsed, the power required, because that was man-made.
Yeah.
And the power required to generate it, as soon as it collapsed, they didn't have the power to bring it back online.
Yeah, that I knew.
Okay, so technically when you said theoretically, is it possible something from the other side could have? The answer is theoretically yes. But theoretically, the whole thing could have come apart in the blink of an eye, and so could the rest of the world.
Got it.
And so you're dealing with a theoretical concern that is, shall we say, overstated?
Got it.
Do you think it's possible that because they had an experiment, something bizarre happened, that they tried it again sometime?
Absolutely,
sure
they carried on the research.
Yeah.
Yeah, matter of fact, what I was... That's just exactly where I was going with that, was CERN. It's exactly where I was going with that.
All they are doing is...
And that's why we have the Mandela effect.
Yeah, no kidding. Lots of Mandela effects. Too many, in fact, driving me nuts.
All right, moving along. Arnold, what's your last question for the night?
I didn't really have one made up. I was trying to think. I mean, my mind's been in so many different spots. Go on to someone else, and if you have time, come back, and I'll get one.
Okay, Joe, what's your last question for tonight?
Yeah. Do you have any really weird superstitions? I'll take it. Now, I have one I've never heard before, but and it's going to sound really stupid. But when I go to the grocery store and I come out and I put my groceries away, I have the superstition that I have to take the cart back because I know that if I don't, the next time I come into that parking lot, I'm either going to have a door ding or someone's going to ram a cart into my truck or something. So it's just kind of a weird little ritual, but I always take the cart back. Not really supernatural, but it is a superstition.
The fact that it's a superstition makes it supernatural, by the way. In my opinion, anyway.
So I have one.
I'm working on good karma.
And it's not
And that is why I take the cart back myself. It's got nothing to do with being afraid of it. It has to do with karmic law stating, do unto others as you desire them to do unto you.
True.
Bingo.
If you're borrowing the cart, put it back.
All right, Cole.
So, everyone basically knows who the Seahawks are. They are an NFL football team.
Oh, God.
Mm-hmm.
That works as an explanation.
When they...
Sea chickens.
When they're playing... Hey, don't even go there, Joe. When they're playing, if they are not having a good game, we kick Kayla outside.
And the game.
And seriously, we did this during the Green Bay game a few years ago, and they were getting their asses handed to them. And as soon as she went outside for a smoke, immediately Seahawks scored twice. So we locked the door. And they came back 50 points in that game. It was awesome. Yes, I understand it was January. But it was January in Washington. She was okay.
I was okay.
So she froze her.
I wasn't even in a freaking hoodie.
She froze her tatas off. In other words.
Oh.
Jeez.
So that's mine now. Anytime that the Seahawks aren't doing well, I tell Kayla to stop watching the game and go outside.
Yep.
They
win.
They do. Every freaking time.
She's bad juju for the Seahawks.
Yeah.
That's because the Seahawks suck. I mean,
hey.
Sorry.
Oh. Hey.
Them are fighting words for some folks I know.
Oh, yeah. Her husband's one of them.
Yeah. He gets so mad because my favorite team is the Patriots, and I mean,
what the hell?
And then
she's into cheaters, I guess. I don't know.
Oh man,
Raiders.
1980, that used to be mine. Those Patriots.
Oh my god.
Right.
Oh yeah. Well, hello, 80s. You know.
What about you, Eric?
Anybody else have any weird superstitions?
Superstitions.
No, can't say I don't know of any that I've got.
Not that I can think of, no.
No, not that I can.
I can't think of anything
that would be considered
a superstition. Other than I have to have coffee before the show.
That's not a superstition, that's a requirement.
I kind of want to see what would happen if we took it away from you.
Oh, hell no.
Oh, hell no.
Nope.
Nope.
If you take my iced tea away from me, it's got to be strong iced tea, man. Got to have that caffeine. It's like,
put a little rum in it, you won't need the caffeine.
Woohoo!
There you go.
There you go.
I wouldn't remember the show, though, if that happened.
Whole other problem.
I prefer iced tea of the Long Island nature.
Right?
Oh, God, drunken S-4. No, thank you.
Oh, and I remember when I lived up in Washington, they came up with the new law that you could only serve someone 2 Long Island iced teas. And that was it. They cut you off after that.
There's a good reason.
That's no problem.
Right?
Just That's no problem at all. Just get a bigger glass.
Yeah.
That's when that place started coming out with those sand buckets.
Yeah, I can't remember what that place is called, but there is a place near you, Nikki,
Roadhouse?
It's on
196,
maybe.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, Las Margaritas.
Huh?
Oh, no. That's
No,
not
it's
Las
not-
Margaritas.
it's-
That's 45th and
It's
Aurora.
got a rock in the name, it's
rock something.
The Rock or something.
But they have Long Island iced teas that they'll give you in a children's sand bucket.
And then you get to keep the bucket.
If you take it with you.
Right, and they
Sign
also-
me up.
Well, and then they also have
No, I'd
glasses
be
that
that
are
way with
lava lamps.
margaritas.
Huh?
They have glasses that are lava lamps.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and
So
they light up.
So they have the Roadhouse Bar and Grill in Georgia, and I had 2 Roadhouse iced teas, and I asked for a third, and they're like, "Oh my God, are you sure?" And I said, "Yeah. Why wouldn't I?" He said, "Because no one ever goes past 2." Well, I drink 5.
Seriously?
I drink 5.
Oh my God.
And I don't remember.
You don't remember Georgia.
All I know is I woke up, and so I was getting ready to go to PLDC, which is Primary Leadership Development School, to make sergeant. And when I woke up, all of my gear was all over my apartment. My license plate was ripped off my car. I basically flipped out.
This is why I do not partake in the spirits.
Yeah. And
I have a high tolerance, but I'm not doing blackout stuff. Thank you. That's why I don't drink very often.
Well,
I'll drink for the buzz.
Yeah, no, I never went back to that place.
I bet not.
There are several establishments in Ocean Shores, Washington, that to this day I'm still 86 because of Long Island iced teas.
Oh my God!
I am not surprised.
I bet I know which places too.
I can tell you there is 2 in Drumheller, Alberta that I am no longer allowed in, and why I do not partake in the spirits anymore.
Okay. So Nikki, what's your last question for tonight?
It revolves around ETs again, but of course, we kind of answered it during the. I wanted to hear what Dave's response was to it. So, do you ever? This is what I have written up from last week. Do you ever come into or make peace with being taken? I hear the ladies like Samantha Mowat and Geraldine Orozco and Melinda Leslie and even Lorian Fenton talking about being abducted by ETs, and it made me wonder if all of us or any of us have come to peace with being abducted, or we're just quote unquote along for the ride because we can't.
Absolutely not. I don't care if you're an alien or a human. You come into my house at night and try to take me, it's going to be the same result. It's not going to happen.
I'm going to be honest with you. I kind of relate that to Stockholm Syndrome.
Yeah.
So there's 2 types. There's the abductee and the contactee. When it comes to and I don't mean to offend anybody when I say this, but I believe there's the abductee, and they're the ones that have a horrific experience. They will never accept it being okay. Then you have the contactee. The contactee is the one who has they have wonderful experiences. They think it's great. They learn something. They have wonderful experiences with the Space Brothers kind of deal. But I think honestly, Stockholm Syndrome plays a big role in some of these. Not all of them, maybe. Some of them might have a great experience. I don't know. But I do think Stockholm Syndrome plays into that. And what Stockholm Syndrome is you see that a lot with people that are kidnapped or abducted by terrorists, bad guys, whatever, and they psychologically change their view and become part of the either terrorist or the bad guy, whatever. They empathize. So that would be my answer with that.
See, honestly, Eric, I believe that there's a third category of people in there.
Okay.
Okay, because you got your contactees, you got your abductees. Okay, but then I would say that I call these people just the taken. Okay.
Right.
Because they're not necessarily abductees or contactees. They are taken.
Maybe messengers?
The ones we never hear from again that you can't
No,
get their...
because some of them come back.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so it's a matter of they're taught. They aren't necessarily.
Well, they might be seen as messengers.
Oh, you mean like Susie Hansen, who's taken from early childhood. She's in New Zealand, if I remember correctly, and she was taught from early age how to maneuver their ships, how to do all different kinds of activities. Based on what I understand, wasn't experimental or anything like that, but they taught her everything under the sun. And she's
and that's what I'm saying. They're this subset of people that get taught by them, that get nurtured by them, that get accepted by them, but also live here. So it would be something where they would take them from the time of birth and several times a year or several times a week, depending on the person, to teach them, to instill certain things into them, to bring back maybe for humanity or for their own personal reasons in some way, shape, or form.
Could they be hybrids?
I don't believe that they are all hybrids. I believe that some of them...
Here's the neat part.
Huh?
I personally believe that that's pretty much a cross-combination.
Okay.
The taken and the contactees would fall into the same category. It's just the taken get more education than the contactees do.
Okay.
I think...
It was that fourth category. There's the fourth category, like Cole brought it up. The ones that don't get brought back.
Yeah, those are dinner.
You know?
Well,
and it's not because they went off to live in some wonderful place. It's because they were killed.
Well, that's the problem. We don't actually know that.
We don't hear from them. People disappear.
You gotta
They're
kind
gone.
of all those ones together because we don't know what happened to them. Whether they're dinner.
Yeah, the unknown.
They actually, yeah.
Yeah.
Or they're colonizing another planet. They could be.
How many people disappear every year?
I mean, you know, which is possible. I mean, look at the op that I had about going into a portal. You know.
But I believe
I would have done it.
All four of these are the same thing. They're for the same reason. Okay, so everybody, these specific group of people within humanity get taken. Okay, and then they get subdivided into one of the four, as you say, categories, where they are either experimented on or taken for that type of a reason. And I believe it has something to do with intelligence, spirituality, and just their own thought processes and the way that they do things. It might have something to do on a biological level as well.
I'm about to say, so those of us that aren't taken are just stupid?
I wouldn't say that. I would say that there's something about you that makes it not possible to take you.
Okay.
Okay, I believe that there's only like 10% that are actually able to be taken. And then out of that 10%, there's a certain percentage that this, there's a certain percentage that, there's a certain percentage that this, and the other thing.
The neat part about it is, much as that is highly likely, there is 0% that can't be taken out.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and then like what Keith had talked about last week was 2,000 some hundred races. Oh God, I can't use my words would be nice. 2,400 races or something like that.
Roughly 2,500 is the rough estimate that I've heard of.
Yeah, that are the original races that were here on Earth.
Oh God, no. No, the 2,500 is member races of the consortium.
Yeah, but how many of those?
Count the number of races that started here.
Yeah, see, that's what I can't. That's what I've got stuck in my head is that 2,500 that were started here on Earth.
Infinite.
The 2,500 I was talking about weren't started here on Earth.
They were the consortium.
They are member races of the consortium. I mean, you think about it. Earth itself has several million unclassified species on the planet. Now, granted, they are not all sentient in the way that humans think. But they are far more sentient than humans are in many cases. Which, in my opinion, is not setting the bar very high, but...
But we were talking about the sentient ones from last week.
Yes, but that was 2,500 that I've heard of member races of the consortium that are in the area. That's not that evolved on Earth.
Okay.
Earth, humans will not be a member of the consortium for several thousand years.
Yeah, we'll never be ready for it.
Being a smartass. Somebody on the other side was being a smartass and just said, on Earth, Earth is a human. No, you didn't use the word human. Sorry. That's a cesspool of genetics, is what I heard.
And in all fairness, that's not a bad assessment.
I would.
Yeah,
I
don't
say,
know if he said it.
I
Somebody
would
just
say
said
more
it.
like circus.
Circus?
Yeah.
See,
Earth is a circus.
when you take a look at a cesspool, it has a staggering amount of life in it.
Mm-hmm.
And the quite literally, the genetic superstructure of Earth and of all the sentient races that are on Earth, and all the non-sentient races.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it really would look like a cesspool, but as with a cesspool, if you've got the right way of looking at it, you can tell a staggering amount of information about the surrounding area.
Primordial soup.
Yeah.
Yes.
Primordial soup, most definitely.
Soup. Mm-hmm.
So, as we wrap up tonight's 5th anniversary show, I look forward to another 20 years of S4.
Oh, God. Okay.
Definitely. Don't forget, next week we are changing up the topic. We are in at least for the West Coast and some other countries, we are in a very serious drought / dangerous fire threat. So we are talking about emergency action plans. When do you evacuate from a wildfire? When do you know whether to evacuate from a wildfire, and what do you take with you? So it's kind of the public service side of what S4 does and stands for. Again, 3 weeks from now, don't miss out. Skagit County Fair, August 11th to the 14th. Come check out the S4 booth. And again at the Marblemount Sasquatch Conference, the 20th and 29th. Nikki, if someone needs to talk to a psychic, how do they reach you?
Facebook right now until I can get my computer up and running. So it's Nikki, NIKKI.Jacobs.376. I had to think about that.
Okay,
Nikki.Jacobs.376. Yeah, that's right.
Okay. And Harmony's not here, but you can find Harmony Wellhouse for
I am back.
She's here.
You are here. Oh, you're back. Oh, damn. So where can we find Wildcraft Wellness and your book?
Yeah, you can go to my website, wildcraftwellness.net, and you can check out all my YouTube videos over at Wildcraft Wellness on YouTube. You can subscribe for free and get a copy of my book on Etsy and on Amazon. You can get the copy on Kindle, and you can also get a copy on Amazon and an inscribed copy on Etsy. So, yeah, thank you so much for having me again on the show. It's a blast again. Thank you.
Awesome. And Keith, where can we find your books and your YouTube channel?
Well, the YouTube channel is Inner Voice Enterprises. And at the bottom of all of the videos, you'll find a whole list of ways of getting a hold of me. Right, but if you find me on Facebook at Ronald Keith Andrews, that's the easiest way to track me down. You're looking for Ilderbach, which, by the way, you can find on Amazon now. As of last week, it was available on Amazon. The Birth of the Wolf Pack is the easiest one to find. Well, it's the only one out there right now.
Awesome. And Joe, where can we find your pointy sticks?
Nowhere. You can't find me.
Stick Emporium.
Damn it!
Joe, where's?
I don't have a website. I'm not selling anything. What?
Where's the bunker?
What? Where can we find the bunker?
I can see it from here.
And I know, Arnold, you're working on photography as well, right?
Right on.
And we'll be able to push Arnold's photography here soon.
Nice.
Yes. Yes.
Go ahead, Arnold. Sorry.
Just waiting on some final things to get cleared up, and hopefully I can get started.
Awesome.
And remember, ladies and gentlemen, you can find us here at S4 on Amazon Music, Spotify, iHeartRadio, TuneIn Radio, iTunes, and anywhere else you find your podcast globally.
Yep, and we will be growing in the next 20 years. Ideally, you'll be able to find us on Pandora. One day.
You heard it first here, folks. 10 years from now, we will be the first podcast from the other side.
Really?
Well, you said 20
You dying?
years.
Okay.
I think I have plans in 10 years.
Okay.
I'm taking Eric with me now because he wants to do a podcast together.
You guys have fun with that.
Right. Maybe the S4 Ouija board.
You may find it a little difficult getting the broadcast signal back here.
We'll have it figured out.
You haven't heard?
We will. Yep.
The other side's getting Wi-Fi. It's good.
We will do it through a vortex.
We're going to send Cole up those stairs out in the middle of the woods.
Yep.
Yeah, that's good.
Like you said, it's like a man team up and save yourself the trip.
That's Kayla. Kayla wants to go up the stairs in the woods.
No, we can push Cole up the stairs. Either way.
Alrighty. Alright, so y'all stay safe, have a safe week, and we will see you next week when we talk about wildfires and emergency action plans. So remember, keep your eyes to the skies, and happy 5th anniversary. S4.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us here at S4 Radio. Remember to head over to Facebook, give us a like, and show your support. Are you feeling left out? Did you not get enough? Remember, you can always find us on Amazon Music, Spotify, iHeartRadio, TuneIn Radio, iTunes, and anywhere else you get your podcast globally. Join us every Sunday night, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time for S-4 Paranormal Radio. And remember, keep your eyes to the skies.